Chapter 4637. Lu Ming's speed was too fast. He turned into a bloody light and appeared in front of the older twin brother in an instant, thrusting his war god spear at him. The older twin brother was shocked and tried his best to block the attack. His combat strength was strong, even stronger than the younger twin brother, but he couldn't withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. Bang! The war god's spear pierced through the older twin brother's battle axe and pierced through the younger twin brother's forehead, killing him on the spot. "Big brother!" The younger twin brother roared. At the same time, he was shocked. Lu Ming actually killed his older brother in one move. Didn't that mean he could also kill him in one move? His heart was filled with endless fear. For a moment, he didn't dare to move forward. After killing the older twin brother, Lu Ming didn't stop and rushed towards Yi Chuling. Yi Chuling was shocked and quickly retreated. The array also stopped, and she channeled all her strength into the golden pearl to strengthen her defense. How could she be faster than Lu Ming? In a few moves, Lu Ming caught up with her, thrusting his war god's spear at the golden light shield. Boom! Yi Chuling's body was like a rubber ball, and she was sent flying. Cracks appeared on the golden light shield. Not good. The other experts of the Heavenly Palace were shocked. "Let's counterattack and delay them. Lu Ming will win," Tang Jun shouted. Without the support of Yi Chuling's array, the strength of the Heavenly Palace's experts was greatly weakened. They wouldn't be so passive anymore. There wasn't much difference in strength between the two sides, and they could launch a counterattack. Tang Jun, Mo Chang, and the others didn't care about their injuries and attacked crazily. They desperately wanted to delay the experts of the Heavenly Palace. They knew that the turning point had arrived. As long as Lu Ming killed Yi Chuling, they could completely turn the situation around and defeat the experts of the Heavenly Palace. Even killing them wouldn't be impossible. "Kill!" Lu Ming roared and continued to attack. The war god's spear continuously bombarded the golden light shield around Yi Chuling. Boom! Boom! In a breath's time, Lu Ming blasted out 10 moves. Finally, the energy of the golden bead was exhausted and it exploded with a bang. Yi Chuling's beautiful face paled, her eyes filled with fear and even a trace of pleading. However, Lu Ming remained unmoved. This was the Celestial Clan. Moreover, they grasped powerful auxiliary force. They were a great enemy that had to be eliminated. As long as it was a formidable enemy, regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, Lu Ming would not have the slightest bit of pity for the fairer sex, nor would he show any mercy. The war god's spear swept out horizontally, and an incomparably violent destructive force instantly shattered Yi Chuling's soul, turning her into ashes. She was completely dead. Yi Chuling is dead. "Damn it, let's go!" The remaining masters of the Heavenly Palace shouted and tried to escape. This was especially true for the younger twin brother. He had already retreated before, but now he didn't even look back. He ran away at an astonishing speed, and his figure was almost nowhere to be seen. Lu Ming's brows furrowed slightly, and he wanted to pursue, but gave up in the end. The other party's strength was already very strong, and it would be hard for him to catch up with them. However, he couldn't let the others go. With a flicker, Lu Ming charged in another direction. In that direction, the middle-aged woman of the Celestial Clan was trying to escape. This person's opponent was Mo Chang, but Mo Chang was already severely injured, and his combat strength was greatly weakened. Naturally, he couldn't hold the middle-aged woman back, and she managed to escape. Just as the middle-aged woman was about to escape, Lu Ming arrived. Boom! The war god's spear pressed down, and it was incomparably huge, even bigger than a giant mountain range. The terrifying power frightened the middle-aged woman, and her eyes were filled with fear. "No!" The middle-aged woman screamed in fear, and she tried her best to resist. However, when the war god's spear pressed down, the middle-aged woman exploded, and her body and soul were destroyed. "So powerful!" Mo Chang, Rong Gong, and the others gasped. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond their imagination. Killing an 8th-layer Divine Master expert was as easy as chopping vegetables. This kind of combat strength was equivalent to those peak Divine Masters. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was only a 5th-tier Divine Master. They had never heard of such combat prowess. Even Tang Jun was shocked, and his heart was pounding. This Lu Ming is really heaven-defying. My father wasn't as strong when he was at the Divine Master realm, right? Tang Jun muttered in his heart, but his hands didn't stop, and he continued to attack his opponents. Now, the remaining experts of the Heavenly Palace didn't have the heart to fight. All they wanted to do was to escape, and they were all scared to death by Lu Ming. However, it was obviously too late for them to escape now. Lu Ming had already arrived. The war god's spear stabbed out continuously, killing the pale-faced old man and the blood race expert. The curtain finally fell on the battle with Lu Ming's group's victory. Mo Chang, Rong Gong, and the others breathed out a long sigh of relief. This battle had been truly perilous. At one point they felt despair, thinking that they were going to die here. The Heavenly Palace's combat strength was indeed much stronger than theirs, but who would have thought that Lu Ming would suddenly erupt? Lu Ming, you're really amazing. To think that you have so many trump cards. For a fifth-layer Divine Master to have this kind of combat strength is truly unimaginable. Lin Yi flew over, the shock in his eyes still lingering. Mo Chang and Rong Gong also flew over, their eyes filled with shock. Let's leave this place first, Lu Ming said. In truth, he also didn't understand how his combat strength had increased so much. He only knew that it had something to do with the pool of blood on the yellow dirt road. When he had time, he would have to study it. The group took the storage rings of the Heavenly Palace experts and left the area. After all, if one of them had escaped, the other side would definitely spread the news. Soon, the experts of the Heavenly Palace would arrive. They flew all the way until they were far away from the sea before stopping. Then, Mo Chang and the others swallowed divine pills and began to treat their injuries. The others were fine, but Mo Chang's injuries were very serious and needed some time to recover. My strength is starting to fade. Lu Ming felt that the blood in his body was no longer boiling, and the boiling temperature on his body had also dropped. That vast and powerful energy was also rapidly fading away until it completely disappeared. Lu Ming had recovered his original strength. It should be the power of that pool of blood on the yellow dirt road. What was that pool of blood? How could it be so shocking? Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil, and he found it difficult to calm down. He decided to try again. If he could completely control this power, his combat strength would skyrocket. Previously, by borrowing the power of the pool of blood, Lu Ming's combat strength was even stronger than when he used the origin source seed. Moreover, he could use it for a long time, unlike the origin source seed, which could only be used once. Lu Ming flew alone for some distance, then he circulated the forbidden energy. Tens of thousands of cells in his body lit up, and the door reappeared, as did the yellow dirt road. The pool of blood shone with a bright red luster. Chapter 4638. The yellow mud road reappeared. The pool of blood was bright red as if fresh blood was flowing on it. However, no matter how hard Lu Ming tried to activate it, the pool of blood didn't react at all. What's going on? It worked before. Why doesn't it work now? Lu Ming frowned. He couldn't figure it out. He tried to activate the pool of blood with his spiritual sense, but the result was the same. Lu Ming tried all kinds of methods, but the result was the same. Could it be related to my state? When I was in danger before, I pushed my combat strength to the peak. My essence, chi and spirit seemed to have broken through some kind of spiritual boundary, Lu Ming thought. He felt that it was very possible. Previously, when he was trapped in the twin brothers' joint attack technique, Mo Chang, Tang Jun, and the rest were caught in a dangerous situation. Under such circumstances, Lu Ming's condition had broken through a certain critical point and reached a certain peak. His battle blood was boiling. Perhaps, that was the reason for the abnormality in the bloodstain. However, that state wasn't something that could be entered at will. It wasn't under Lu Ming's control at all. That state was a bit similar to an epiphany. It was mysterious, illusory, and difficult to capture. It could be said that it could only be encountered by chance. Even if Lu Ming was in danger next time, he might not be able to reach that state. Whatever, it's beneficial and harmless anyway. In the end, Lu Ming shook his head and gave up trying. He took out a few pieces of desolation crystals and absorbed them to restore his cultivation. On the other side, The twin brother fled for his life like a stray dog. He didn't stop until he flew out of the immortal burial blood sea. Damn Lu Ming, I want you to die a horrible death, the second brother kept screaming as if only by doing so could he vent the fear in his heart. This time he was really scared. In his eyes, Lu Ming was 1,000,000 times more terrifying than a devil. I can't let this lad live. I have to get rid of him. Otherwise, he will become a shadow in my heart. I have to spread the news. If they know that Lu Ming is here, I believe many people will be very interested. After a while, the second brother calmed down. His eyes flashed with cold, killing intent again. Lu Ming, who had a forbidden body, was now the target of the heavenly palace. If they could kill Lu Ming, the reward would be frighteningly high. Kid, the immortal burial blood sea will be your burial ground. The second brother roared and flew away. After about a day, Lu Ming, Tang Jun, Rong Gong and the others had completely recovered. Mo Chang's previous injuries were quite serious. Although he had not fully recovered, he had recovered about 70 to 80%. It was not a problem for him to burst out with his peak strength for a short period of time. Suddenly, Lu Ming raised his brows. At this moment, he suddenly felt that something was amiss with the human king's arm in the chaos ring. He could not help but stop. His spiritual sense condensed in the chaos ring. Seeing Lu Ming suddenly stop, Tang Jun, Mo Chang and the others also stopped. When they first entered the core battlefield, Missouri Chang seemed to be the leader. After all, his cultivation base was the highest. But after the last battle, their small team seemed to be led by Lu Ming. In that battle, Lu Ming and Tang Jun both displayed terrifying combat strength. Tang Jun's combat strength was probably not weaker than Mo Chang's. Lu Ming was even more terrifying. It was simply unbelievable. Lu Ming suddenly stopped. They most likely knew something was wrong, so they all stopped and protected Lu Ming in the middle. The bronze box in the chaos ring was constantly shaking. Lu Ming opened the bronze box and saw the human king's arm. It was shining with a mysterious light. The palm was pointing in a direction. What's going on? Lu Ming asked. Of course, he was asking about the bronze box. I sensed it again. The human king's arm has sensed the other parts of the human king's body. A line of words appeared on the bronze box. Sensed it again? Where is it? How far is it from the 1,000 Autumn battlefield? Or is it in the 1,000 Autumn battlefield? Lu Ming asked hurriedly. It's not far away. It's in the so-called Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. Another line of words appeared on the bronze box. What? Lu Ming's heart shook violently. This was really beyond his expectations. The other parts of the human king's body were actually in the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. His heart could not help but beat faster. This was a great opportunity. Right now, all the reciprocity existences had entered the hall at the center of the battlefield. The strongest people in the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood were only divine lords, so he might have an opportunity to obtain the other parts of the human king's body. This opportunity could not be missed. With a thought, Lu Ming withdrew his spiritual sense from the chaos ring. Lu Ming, what's wrong? Mo Chang asked. Everyone, let's go in that direction. Chiu sensed that there might be treasures in that direction. Lu Ming said. He directly made up an excuse and pushed it to Chiu. Chiu secretly despised him. When did I say such a thing? Hearing that Chiu had sensed something, Mo Chang and the others' eyes lit up. They naturally did not object. Immediately, everyone went in the direction that Lu Ming had mentioned. On the way, they discovered several groups of people from the heavenly palace in the distance. They did not charge at them. As soon as they saw them, they went around them. Seeing Lu Ming and the others retreating quickly, the groups of people from the heavenly palace did not chase after them. About 2 days later, Lu Ming and the others came to another sea area. What's going on with this sea area? Lin Yi said in surprise after arriving at this sea area. Lin Yi, what did you find? Tang Jun asked. I found that there are very few insects in this sea area. Moreover, the remaining insects are also moving in one direction. Lin Yi said, moving in one direction? Lu Ming and the others were puzzled. Of course, Lu Ming had another thought. because the bronze box indicated that the other parts of the human monarch's body were very likely in this sea area. Then, could the insects moving in one direction have something to do with the human monarch's body? Lu Ming hoped that was not the case, because he did not want to cause too much of a commotion. It would be best if he could get the other parts of the human monarch's body quietly. If he caused too much of a commotion, it would be troublesome. Lin Yi, where did those insects go? Let's go and see. Lu Ming said. Follow me. Lin Yi said and flew in a direction first. They were very fast and soon crossed a long distance. At this time, they could not help but look at the sea below with surprise. In the blood-red sea below, there were a large number of insects. These insects were very large. Through the sea, they could see huge black shadows. Chapter 46:39. The insects in the sea were all heading in the same direction. The insects are all heading in the same direction. That's great. Doesn't that mean there are no more insects in the sea? We can go to the bottom of the sea and search for treasures to our heart's content. Mo Chang was delighted. They did not dare to enter the sea primarily out of fear of those insects. But now that all the insects in the sea were heading in the same direction, wouldn't that mean that most of the sea was completely devoid of insects? Rong Gong, Lin Yi, and the others were also delighted. Come, let's go down and take a look. Mo Chang said. Just as he was about to charge into the sea, he suddenly grimaced and looked into the distance. In the distance, several black dots were rapidly approaching. They were too fast, and in a few moments, they weren't far from them. Not good. It's the people of the heavenly palace. Retreat. Mo Chang roared as he flew into the distance. Lu Ming, Tang Jun, and the others followed, but the experts of the heavenly palace were extremely fast, constantly closing in on Lu Ming's group. One of the heavenly human race experts was at the very front, and his speed was the most astonishing. It wouldn't be long before he caught up to Lu Ming's group. A 9th-level God Lord. This was a 9th-level God Lord. Lu Ming's group grimaced. If this were an ordinary 9th-level God Lord from an ordinary race, Lu Ming would have some confidence in dealing with him, but this was a 9th-level God Lord from the heavenly human race. Those of the heavenly human race who could cultivate to 9th-level God Lord were definitely not weak, and their fighting power was definitely not weak either. Moreover, there were 8 other experts of the heavenly palace behind them, all of them 8th-level and 7th-level God Lords. If they worked together, Lu Ming's group would be in danger. Hee, our luck isn't bad. Tang Jun, daughter of Tang Feng, since we've run into you, don't think of leaving. The 9th-level God Lord sneered as he stared at Tang Jun with a scorching gaze. The other members of the heavenly palace also sneered as they flew with all their strength, closing the distance between them and Lu Ming's group. It didn't take long for them to catch up. Lu Ming and the others planned to fight with all their might. At this moment, the seawater in front of him surged, and 7 or 8 figures suddenly rushed out. It's Feng Yaoli and the others. Mo Chang was overjoyed when he saw the 7 or 8 figures. The 7 or 8 figures in front were Heaven Destroyer's men. The leader was a large man with an extremely muscular body. He exuded the aura of a primitive god spirit. This was a 9th-level primitive god spirit. As soon as they appeared, they discovered Lu Ming's group and the people from the heavenly palace. Trash from the heavenly palace, you're courting death. Feng Yaoli said coldly. He took to the air and charged at Lu Ming and the others. Damn it, let's retreat. That 9th-level Divine Master Celestial had an ugly look on his face. Then he turned and left. The other celestial humans followed, flying into the distance even faster than when they were chasing Lu Ming's group. Feng Yaoli's team was not weaker than theirs. With the addition of Lu Ming's team, they would definitely be at a disadvantage if they were to go against them. Therefore, when they saw that Lu Ming's team had reinforcements, they immediately retreated. Soon, the people from the heavenly palace were nowhere to be seen. Feng Yaoli and the others didn't chase after them. Feng Yaoli, we're lucky to have met you this time, Mo Chang said. Thank you. Thank you, big brother Feng. Tang Jun also stepped forward. He seemed to be very familiar with that large man. Miss Tang Jun, Mo Chang, with your group strength, you actually dared to come to the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Don't you know that this place is very dangerous? Feng Yaoli said. It wasn't that he looked down on Lu Ming's group. He was just worried. We're just here to try our luck. Also, don't underestimate the strength of the 5 of us. You can look down on me, but if you look down on Tang Jun and Lu Ming, you'll be in big trouble. Emo Chang laughed. Of course, I know Tang Jun's strength. She has a forbidden body, so she's definitely not weak. However, you still lack the battle strength of a 9th-tier divine master. Many of the groups operating in the Immortal Burial Blood Sea have 9th-tier divine master battle strength. You'd better not be careless. How about this, we'll move together later? Feng Yaoli said. Emo Chang opened his mouth. He really wanted to tell them about how Lu Ming had displayed his invincible might and killed the experts from the Heavenly Palace. However, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. The main reason was that it was too unbelievable. He was afraid that Feng Yaoli and the others wouldn't believe him. All right, then let's move together. Tang Jun nodded. In the Immortal Burial Blood Sea, their strength was indeed a little weak. With Feng Yaoli and the others moving together, their safety would be greatly increased. Feng Yaoli, what's going on with this sea region? Why are all the insects in the sea region heading in one direction? Emo Chang asked curiously. Lu Ming and the others also pricked up their ears and listened carefully. Lu Ming especially wanted to get some useful information from this and see if it had anything to do with the other parts of the human king's body. We don't know the specifics either. We only know that blood qi has suddenly spread from the bottom of the sea. These insects seem to have been attracted by the blood qi, Feng Yaoli said. That's right. Blood qi from the bottom of the sea? Emo Chang and the others were very surprised. Blood qi from the sea, which was originally blood-like, would attract other insects. This was indeed strange. Lu Ming, on the other hand, looked pensive. Regardless of whether it's a bad thing or not, the insects in this sea region are all gathering in one place. There are very few insects in other places. We can search for treasures at the bottom of the sea without worrying about being attacked by insects. There's no time to lose. Let's enter the sea now. Feng Yaoli said. Naturally, Emo Chang, Tang Jun, and the others did not object. Everyone rushed into the blood sea and sank to the bottom of the sea. After reaching the bottom of the sea, they began to search for treasures. Sure enough, they searched for a long distance without being attacked by any insects. After a while, they found a strange piece of metal. Every time the killing intent and murderous aura subsided, a large number of experts would enter the Deity Burial Sea region to search for treasures. After so many years, there were not many treasures left in the Deity Burial Sea region. Therefore, even if they did not have to worry about the insects, they would not be able to find a large number of treasures. However, it was much easier than before. Feng Yaoli and the others were very excited. In the blink of an eye, a few hours had passed. They found several pieces of strange metals and 2 damaged source-level divine weapons. That was already a considerable harvest. There's someone ahead. Suddenly, someone shouted. Sure enough, there were 9 figures on a huge underwater mountain in front of them. The terrain at the bottom of the sea was very complicated. Just like on land, there were mountains, canyons, and plains. It's them. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Those 9 figures were the experts from the Heavenly Palace. They were the 9 people who chased after Lu Ming and the others. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Last time, those bastards escaped. This time, let's see where they can run to. Brothers and sisters, kill them. Feng Yaoli shouted and took a step forward. His burly body broke through the seawater and rushed toward the people from the Heavenly Palace. Chapter 4640. Kill. The others followed Feng Yaoli and charged at the people from the Heavenly Palace. However, the people from the Heavenly Palace were very calm. They had no intention of running away. They stood there calmly with a cold smile on their faces. Something's not right. Lu Ming's heart sank. Something's not right. Last time, when they saw Feng Yaoli and the others appear, they turned and left. But this time, they didn't run away. This is very strange. Clearly, Lu Ming wasn't the only one who thought of this. Tang Jun, Feng Yaoli, and the others all thought the same thing. Their charging figures suddenly stopped. He's cold. Something's not right. These guys aren't running away, and they're acting so fearless. Could this be an ambush? Feng Yaoli said. He swept his gaze around and spread out his spiritual sense. The geography of the seabed was very complicated. Mountains and valleys were densely packed. Moreover, because of the blood-colored seawater, his spiritual sense was obstructed by the eye, so he couldn't explore a large area. It's too late to find out now. On the side of the heavenly palace, the 9th-level divine master Heavenly Human sneered. The next moment, swoosh, 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 7 figures charged out of a valley behind Lu Ming's group. They were also experts from the heavenly palace. There's also a 9th-level divine master. Feng Yaoli whispered, his face darkening. The other people's expressions changed, becoming somewhat unsightly. No wonder the experts from the heavenly palace were so calm. They had joined forces with others. There was a team lying in ambush in the valley. This meant that the heavenly palace had 2 9th-level divine masters, and the total number of people they had was greater than theirs. This is bad. Kill all the traitors. The 9th-level divine master Heavenly Human roared. His body moved like a bolt of lightning as he charged at Lu Ming's group. The other experts from the heavenly palace also charged at Lu Ming's group. Behind them, the 7 masters from the heavenly palace also charged towards Lu Ming and the others. The 2 teams from the heavenly palace were extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they were closing in on Lu Ming's group. Before they even arrived, attacks were already flying towards Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming and the others could only focus on defense. They set up layers of defenses and blocked the heavenly palace's attacks. However, if they kept defending like this, they would be too passive. Sooner or later, they would be broken through. Damn it. We're short of a 9th-tier divine master. Otherwise, why would we fear them? Feng Yaoli growled, his anger soaring to the skies. Although they had fewer people than the other party, it wasn't by much. Even if their overall combat strength wasn't as good as the other parties, it wouldn't be too far off. Most importantly, the other party had 2 9th-tier divine masters, which was the most troublesome. It was very easy for a 9th-level divine master expert to deal with an 8th-level divine master. They could even kill him instantly. If they couldn't stop the 2 9th-level divine masters, they wouldn't be able to fight. Feng Yaoli, you should be able to deal with that 9th-level divine master from the celestial race, right? At this moment, Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Feng Yaoli and the rest. Of course. I have complete confidence in dealing with that fellow. Feng Yaoli said. He was a primitive god spirit and possessed formidable fighting strength. In a battle of the same level, he wouldn't be any weaker than the celestial race expert. But leave this 9th-level divine master of the celestial race and that 9th-level divine master of the angel race to me. Lu Ming said. The 9th-level divine master expert in the second team wasn't from the celestial race, but the angel race. In the battle just now, Lu Ming had already noticed that this angel race expert was only a 10-winged angel. He was much weaker than the 9th-level divine master of the celestial race. Lu Ming was still somewhat confident in dealing with this angel race expert. Even if he couldn't use the blood on the yellow dirt road, he could rely on his own strength and origin energy to contend against this angel race expert. Moreover, with Qiuqiu's assistance, if the angel race expert let down his guard and suddenly exploded with power, he might be able to heavily injure him. Lu Ming was confident in himself, so he made the suggestion, but Feng Yaoli and the other members of his team weren't so convinced. That's a 9th-level divine master. Can you really deal with him? If you can't, don't try to be brave. If you lose, we'll all be in danger. The others began to speak up. They didn't doubt Lu Ming's fighting strength. They didn't doubt the fighting strength of a taboo body. In the Battle of Zenith's Supreme Immortal City, Lu Ming had suppressed the supreme genius of the celestial race, Yi Qiuxian, and defeated the perfect heaven's power. This was enough to prove Lu Ming's fighting strength. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 5th-level divine master realm. The difference between a 5th-level divine master and a 9th-level divine master was simply too great. It was so great that it was unimaginable and difficult to cross. I believe in Lu Ming. He'll have no problem dealing with that angel race expert. That's right. I also believe in him. His fighting strength will shock all of you. Everyone, rather than passively defending, why don't we take a gamble? Emo Chang, Rong Gong and Lin Yi all spoke up. Hearing Emo Chang and the others say this, Feng Yaoli began to hesitate. He knew that Emo Chang and the others weren't people who spoke without thinking. There had to be a reason why they believed in Lu Ming so much. Could Lu Ming's fighting strength really be that freakish? At this moment, the attacks of the Heavenly Palace experts were becoming fiercer and fiercer. They had no qualms about defending themselves. They used all their killing moves with astonishing might. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before they broke through the defenses of Lu Ming and the others. Feng Yaoli, don't hesitate. Lu Ming will definitely be fine. Tang Jun also spoke up. Okay, then let's take a gamble. Leave that 9th-level Divine Master of the Celestial Race to me. Leave that 9th-level Divine Master of the Angel Race to Lu Ming. Brothers, let's do it. Feng Yaoli roared. He removed his defenses and began his counterattack. His body rapidly grew until he was 100 zhang tall. He brandished his saber and slashed at the 9th-level Divine Master of the Celestial Race. Of course, Feng Yaoli could grow even larger. With his current cultivation, he could even grow to the size of a planet. But there was no need for that. In the immortal burial sea of blood, if he grew to that size, he would only attract the attacks of those insects. He just needed to grow to a more comfortable size. Clang. Feng Yaoli and the 9th-level Divine Master of the Celestial Race exchanged blows. Violent energy exploded, and both of them retreated a few steps. Kill! At the same time, Emo Chang and the others also stopped defending. Instead, they began their counterattack, using their killing moves. Instead of defending, you counterattack. You're really courting death. But even if you defend, you'll still die. In that case, I'll send you on your way sooner rather than later. The 9th-level Divine Master of the Celestial Race sneered. His entire body was shrouded in the power of heaven as he charged at Feng Yaoli. You'll be the ones to die. Feng Yaoli roared as he swung his saber to counterattack. At the same time, Lu Ming wielded his War God Spear and charged at the 9th-level Divine Master of the Angel Race. Lu Ming had used the great imitation art to change his aura and appearance. The other party didn't know Lu Ming's true identity. Seeing that a mere 5th-level Divine Master like Lu Ming dared to charge at him, he was simply courting death. The 9th-level Divine Master of the Angel Race didn't take Lu Ming seriously at all. His sacred light condensed into a saber and slashed at Lu Ming. Chapter 46-41. The 9th-level God Lord Angel slashed his sword at Lu Ming. He used 50% of his strength in this attack. Let alone a 5th-level God Lord, even an 8th-level God Lord would not dare to take it head-on. They would be heavily injured. Underestimating me? Very good. Lu Ming was not angry. On the contrary, he was delighted. What he wanted was for his opponent to underestimate him and be careless. Only then would he have a chance. Little Ball. Lu Ming messaged Little Ball. Leave it to me. Little Ball called out and flew out of Lu Ming's wrist. It turned into a mirror and shot out a beam of light that enveloped the angel. Heaven Splitter. Lu Ming bellowed and performed the heaven-breaking style. At the same time, the power of origin in the origin seed surged into the divine combat spear, turning into a bright spear gleam and piercing toward the vital point between the other party's eyebrows. Enveloped by Little Ball's beam of light, the 9th-level God Lord Angel fell into a momentary daze. Lu Ming's attack rapidly approached, and it seemed like it would stab into the angel's forehead. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! This damned illusion! Break for me! The 9th-level God Lord Angel furiously roared. The sacred light in his body erupted with all his strength, instantly breaking through Little Ball's beam of light. But Lu Ming's attack had already arrived. Lu Ming's attack that erupted with the power of origin had already surpassed that of this angel. Now that Lu Ming had taken the initiative to attack, how could the angel possibly block it? At this critical moment, the angel's body suddenly shrank, wanting to dodge the War God Spear's attack. In truth, this move was very useful, allowing him to dodge the War God Spear's thrust. But Lu Ming had managed to seize the initiative with great difficulty, so how could he let his opponent escape? Moreover, his origin energy only had the power for a single attack. Lu Ming pressed the war god's spear downward. The war god's spear whipped downward. Not good. The 9th level God Lord Angel was alarmed. He moved to the side, at the same time laying down layers of defenses around his body. But in the end he was unable to completely dodge. Boom! The war god's spear landed heavily on the other party's body. The violent power directly smashed through the other party's defenses. With a loud bang, the lower half of the angel's body exploded and turned into dust. The upper half of his body smashed heavily into the bottom of the sea, creating a large crater. He lay in the crater, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. Although he managed to avoid being hit in his vitals, he was still heavily injured and no longer had the strength to continue fighting. Originally, the other party would not have been beaten to such a state so easily. It was mainly because he was too careless and was then affected by Qiuqiu, which was why he was defeated by Lu Ming in one fell swoop and severely injured. This time, everyone's eyes widened. The experts from the Heavenly Palace stared with their eyes wide open, as if they had seen a ghost. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. As for Feng Yaoli and the others, they were all extremely shocked. When Lu Ming had said that he had a way to deal with that 9th level God Lord Angel, they had been completely skeptical. They had not been confident at all. They had not expected Lu Ming to be so strong that he could heavily injure a 9th level God Lord with one move. Now that the other party had lost a 9th level God Lord, they no longer had to fear him. Their morale was instantly boosted. Kill! Kill them! Feng Yaoli and the others roared, their attacks frenzied. Kill! Lu Ming coldly barked. He wanted to take advantage of the other party's weakness. Now that the angel expert was heavily injured, how could Lu Ming let go of this opportunity? He swooped down and charged at the angel expert. Save me! The angel expert roared, deep fear in his eyes. Kid, don't even think about it. Nearby, an 8th level God Lord celestial race expert charged toward Lu Ming. But Qiuqiu's mirror shot out another pillar of light that enveloped this celestial race expert. This celestial race expert was even worse off than the 9th level God Lord, and he was momentarily dazed. This momentary daze was enough to claim his life. The war god's spear thrust toward this celestial race expert's forehead. By the time he reacted, it was already too late. The war god's spear had pierced through his forehead, its destructive energy directly annihilating his soul. An 8th level God Lord human expert was instantly killed by Lu Ming with Qiuqiu's help. The others felt a chill run down their spines. Lu Ming did not stop there, continuing to attack the 9th level God Lord Angel. Yeah. This 9th level God Lord Angel crazily roared and struggled. He did not want to be killed just like this. However, he only had half his body left, and he was heavily injured. He did not even have 10% of his strength left. No matter how unwilling he was or how much he struggled, it was all for naught. The war god's spear trembled, and spear light descended from above, enveloping the 9th level God Lord Angel. After several unwilling screams, there was no sound. A 9th level God Lord Angel was dead. But kill these bastards from the Heavenly Palace. Feng Yaoli's group was brimming with morale as they continued to attack. In contrast, the morale of the Heavenly Palace's side was low, and some of them were trembling as they looked at Lu Ming. Although the two sides had about the same number of people, the Heavenly Palace's side was steadily losing ground. A moment of carelessness led to a 7th level God Lord expert being cleaved in two by Tang Jun's sword, dying on the spot. This caused the Heavenly Palace's fighting spirit to weaken even further. Retreat, retreat. The 9th level God Lord of the celestial race roared. After exchanging several blows with Feng Yaoli, he began to retreat. He saw that the 9th tier Divine Master Angel was severely injured by Lu Ming in one move. He was then swiftly killed. He was scared. He was really scared. Lu Ming's fighting strength terrified him. He was afraid that if Lu Ming attacked him, he would suffer the same fate as that 9th level God Lord Angel. Thus, he decisively gave the order to retreat. The other members of the Heavenly Palace were in a similar state. Not daring to fight, they all began to retreat, hoping to escape. Kill. Don't let them escape. Feng Yaoli's group roared as they madly pursued. Lu Ming cast the Great Aurora skill and chased after him rapidly. The people of the Heavenly Palace were focused on escaping. They had no intention of fighting. The higher the cultivation level, the faster they fled. On the contrary, those with lower cultivation levels fell behind and were quickly caught up by Feng Yueli, Lu Ming, and a few others who were the fastest. Save us. They've caught up to us. Save us. Several 7th-level god lords from the Heavenly Palace screamed at the top of their lungs. But the people running at the front didn't dare to turn around. They were hoping that the people behind them would delay them for a while so that they could escape. They won't save you. Let's send you on your way. Feng Yaoli's face was savage as he slashed out with his saber, instantly killing 2 7th-level god lords. Lu Ming and Qiuqiu worked together, thrusting out with their spear and killing another 7th-level god lord. Behind them, Tang Jun, Mo Chang, and a few others arrived and killed the remaining 7th-level god lords. However, the Celestial Palace experts at the 8th level of the God Lord realm and above seized the opportunity to flee. Chapter 46-42. Soon, the curtains fell on the battle, and Lu Ming's side emerged victorious. Not a single person from their side had died in this battle, and the Heavenly Palace had suffered heavy losses instead. Ha! Delightful. This battle is all thanks to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, your strength truly amazes me. Feng Yaoli laughed heartily as he looked at Lu Ming in amazement and disbelief. The others with Feng Yaoli also looked at Lu Ming in the same manner. It was all thanks to Lu Ming that they had been able to turn the tide of the battle. Otherwise, they would have been surrounded by the people of the Heavenly Palace and 2 9th-level divine lords. They would have been no match for them, and they would have been the ones to suffer heavy losses. In the worst-case scenario, they would have been completely wiped out. You flatter me. I was just lucky. Lu Ming replied modestly. The group continued to search for treasures in this region of the sea. However, it was clear that many people had noticed that the insects were converging in one direction and had entered the seabed to search for treasures. Thus, although they had made some gains, they had not gained much. Very quickly, a few days passed. Everyone, why don't we go to the place where the insects are converging? At this moment, Lu Ming suggested. Lu Ming had originally wanted to find a reason to go alone, but in the immortal burial sea of blood, one person was too weak. If he ran into the experts of the Heavenly Palace, it would be very dangerous. Although he had been able to kill a 9th-level divine lord, that was because the other party had underestimated him. He had only managed to heavily injure the other party by using all his techniques and cooperating with Qiuqiu. Moreover, origin energy could only be used once. After that, he would no longer be able to use enough strength to heavily injure a 9th-level divine lord. If there were 2 9th-level divine lord experts, he would have no choice but to run. Just like last time, if Feng Yaoli and the others had not blocked the other people of the Heavenly Palace, how could he have had the chance to kill that 9th-level divine lord angel? In addition, he could not find a good reason to leave alone. If he found a reason to leave alone in the immortal burial sea of blood, others would find it very strange. Therefore, Lu Ming suggested that everyone go together. I was thinking the same thing. Those bugs are gathering in a certain direction. Something must have happened in that direction. Maybe there's a supreme treasure that attracted those bugs. Feng Yaoli said, but with so many insects gathering together, I'm afraid it'll be very dangerous. Someone said cautiously, it's fine. Let's approach slowly and observe from afar. If something is wrong, we'll retreat immediately. Everything will be fine. Feng Yaoli said. Everyone else nodded in agreement. In fact, everyone was very curious and wanted to go over and take a look. Immediately, everyone stopped looking for treasures and flew towards the direction where the insects were gathered. Without the hindrance of the insects, everyone's speed was extremely fast. In just a few hours, they had crossed a long distance. At this time, they met another group of people. They were Heaven Destroyer's people. They were also curious and wanted to go to the place where the insects were gathered. Everyone gathered together and set off together. They met more and more people along the way. There were Heaven Destroyer's people and Heavenly Palace's people. They didn't fight with Heavenly Palace's people because both sides had a lot of people. If they fought, neither side would have the confidence to win. Both sides were restraining themselves. Soon, 7 or 8 huge underwater mountains appeared in front of Lu Ming and the others. On those mountains, Lu Ming and the others also found some Heaven Destroyer's people and Heavenly Palace's people. The two sides didn't fight. They seemed to be very cautious. They stood on the mountains and looked inside. Lu Ming and the others flew towards Heaven Destroyer's people. "Keep your voice down. Don't alarm the insects," someone reminded them in a low voice. Lu Ming and the others were shocked. They immediately retracted their aura and landed on the mountain. Then, they looked inside the mountain and couldn't help but be shocked. Inside the mountain was a huge basin surrounded by mountain peaks. The basin was very low and sunken. Countless insects gathered in the basin. What was shocking was that these insects were crazily killing each other. Insects of different shapes and sizes were crazily killing each other. The basin was filled with the corpses of various insects. Some insects were gnawing on the corpses of other insects. Some insects were crazily killing each other. It was extremely tragic. At every moment, powerful insects were being torn apart. Some insects were shockingly powerful. Lu Ming felt that if he went up, he would be torn apart in an instant. They definitely had the strength of a peak almighty. It was no wonder that Heaven Destroyers and Heavenly Palaces people didn't dare to breathe. Lu Ming and the others also didn't dare to breathe. There were too many insects in the basin. There were at least 100,000 of them. Although many had died, there were still more than 50,000 left. If these powerful insects rushed out, they would be torn apart. Look, there's really a trace of blood-red mist in the basin. Are those insects crazy because of this blood-red mist? Tang Jun was beside Lu Ming and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. "It should be," Lu Ming said. The blood-red mist was clearly visible even in the blood-red seawater. Lu Ming's face didn't show much of an expression, but he was very uneasy. This was because the arm of the human king in the Chaos Ring was constantly trembling. The bronze box told him that the other parts of the human king's body were in this basin. After knowing that the other parts of the human king's body were in this basin, Lu Ming found it hard to remain calm. He wanted to get it, but what could he do with so many insects? These insects are constantly killing each other. Although I don't know why, from the looks of it, they'll probably all die out later. When these insects are all dead, I'll go and take a look, Lu Ming thought. The group hid on the mountain peak and watched quietly. Lu Ming discovered that some insects would transform and become stronger after eating the corpses of other insects. The killing became more and more intense. At this time, on the land not far from the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood, the second twin brother was revealing Lu Ming's information to a group of Heavenly Palace experts. That's right, it's Lu Ming with the Forbidden Body. He's in this core battlefield, and he's in the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. The second twin brother said. Lu Ming with the Forbidden Body. Very good. If we can kill him, it will be a great achievement. Let's go to the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. The leader of this group of Heavenly Palace experts waved his hand, and the group headed toward the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. Lu Ming, so many people are heading toward the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. I'll see how you die. The second brother growled, his eyes flashing with ferocious killing intent. During this period, he had been looking for Heavenly Palace experts everywhere, revealing that Lu Ming was in the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. He wanted these people to go to the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood to hunt down Lu Ming. During this period, many Heavenly Palace experts had already rushed to the Immortal Burial Sea of Blood. Chapter 46-43. The younger twin sneered for a while, then turned around and flew in another direction. He wanted to continue searching for more experts from the Heavenly Palace to rush to the Immortal Burial Blood Sea and force Lu Ming into a corner. While the younger brother was thinking, the void suddenly trembled, and a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. The younger brother almost jumped up in fright and instinctively retreated. However, when he saw the appearance of the person who came, he let out a long sigh of relief. Senior Gan Lu, so it's you. Why are you here in the Thousand Autumn battlefield? The younger twin hurriedly bowed respectfully. That's right. The figure that suddenly appeared was Yiling Tianshou's father, Yiling Ganlu. After entering the Thousand Autumn battlefield, he had been looking for Lu Ming, but to no avail. So it's you, kid? Where's your elder brother? Why isn't he with you? Yiling Ganlu glanced at his second brother and said faintly, My elder brother was killed. Second brother said, revealing great sorrow, as well as hatred. Oh. Yiling Ganlu let out a soft, oh, and didn't pay much attention. In the Thousand Autumn battlefield, dying was a very normal thing. There was nothing to be surprised about. It's all that Lu Ming's fault. That damn Lu Ming. The younger brother roared. What did you say? This time, Yiling Ganliu's eyes widened, and a terrifying killing intent erupted. The cold killing intent seemed to freeze the area. The killing intent of a heavenly venerable was earth-shattering. The younger brother was shocked and stammered, Lu Ming, that forbidden physique Lu Ming. Lu Ming, do you know where Lu Ming is? Tell me quickly. Yiling Ganlu urged. At the mention of Lu Ming, he could no longer remain calm. Could it be that Yiling Ganlu also wants to kill Lu Ming? He looks like he has a deep hatred for him. That's great. The younger twin roared in his heart, revealing a look of ecstasy. In the Immortal Burial Blood Sea, that little bastard Lu Ming is in the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. He joined forces with others to kill my elder brother in the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Second brother said. Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Very good. Lu Ming, I'll make you wish you were dead. Let's go. Lead the way. Take me to the place where your brother was killed. Yiling Ganlu said. Yes, senior. Second brother naturally agreed gladly. He was overjoyed in his heart. If an Empyrean wanted to kill Lu Ming, then Lu Ming was dead for sure. Second brother immediately pointed out the direction. Yiling Ganlu waved his hand and led second brother towards the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Empyrean venerate powerhouses were too fast. Soon, they arrived at the Immortal Burial Blood Sea, where the twins had fought Lu Ming. After arriving, Yiling Ganlu closed his eyes and carefully sensed for Lu Ming's aura. After a while, Yiling Ganlu opened his eyes. A trace of displeasure flashed through his eyes. It was very difficult for auras to remain in the blood-red seawater. Soon, they would be washed away by the blood-red seawater. Just now, he hadn't sensed Lu Ming's aura at all. He was unwilling to give up and continued to sense, but the result was still the same. Oof. The Immortal Burial Blood Sea is only so big. I don't believe I can't find you. Yiling Ganlu snorted coldly. His figure flashed and disappeared from where he was. At the same time, he frantically spread out his spiritual sense to search for Lu Ming. Although the insects of the Immortal Burial Blood Sea were powerful, when there was no killing intent or evil aura, none of the insects here could match an Origin Realm expert. Therefore, Yiling Ganlu also flew unscrupulously at an extremely fast speed. He searched area after area of the sea. About 7 days later, he found the area where Lu Ming was. Lu Ming and the others had already been on the mountain peak watching for 7 days. During these 7 days, those insects were still fighting, and it was getting more and more tragic. However, after 7 days of fighting, it was finally about to come to an end. Only 2 of the strongest insects were left fighting each other. These 2 insects were abnormally powerful. After fighting for more than an hour, the outcome was finally decided. One of the insects, which looked like a blood-red mantis, cut off the head of the other insect with its sickle-like claws and swallowed it. However, although this mantis-like insect had killed its opponent, it had also suffered heavy injuries. After swallowing its opponent's head, it staggered a few steps and fell to the ground with a thud, no longer moving. On the mountain peak, the eyes of the people of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace lit up. These insects killed each other and were completely wiped out. In particular, Lu Ming was overjoyed. He was originally worried about how to enter the basin, but now all the insects were dead. However, the people of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace did not act rashly. They wanted to observe for a while longer. About half an hour later, there was still no movement in the basin. At this time, someone could not bear it and wanted to go down to explore. At this moment, not far away, a figure suddenly appeared. As soon as this figure appeared, an extremely powerful aura spread out and enveloped the area. This figure was Yiling Ganlu. At the scene, everyone was shocked because they felt a terrifying pressure. Everyone couldn't help but look at Yiling Ganlu. With a glance, the faces of the people of the Heaven Destroyer changed wildly and became extremely ugly. Through the aura, everyone knew that this was a powerhouse of the Origin Realm. However, this powerhouse of the Origin Realm was actually from the Celestial race. Why would the origin of the Celestial race come here? Didn't they all go to the central area of the core battlefield? Why would they come here? Unlike the people of the Heaven Destroyer, the people of the Heavenly Palace were all overjoyed when they saw Yiling Ganlu. It's Senior Yiling Ganlu. Isn't Senior Yiling Ganlu in the Heavenly Palace? He actually came here. Great, we can catch all these rebels in one fell swoop. Many people of the Heavenly Palace were extremely excited. Yiling Ganlu? This person looks a little similar to Yiling Tianshou. Is he Yiling Tianshou's father? Lu Ming immediately thought of this. Before Yiling Tianshou died, he had roared that his father was a celestial master of the Heavenly Palace and would definitely avenge him. Could it be that the other party had followed him all the way here? Lu Ming's heart could not help but sink. He quietly retreated, wanting to hide in the crowd and avoid the eyes of Yiling Ganlu. However, it was not so easy. As soon as Yiling Ganlu appeared, his soul sense completely enveloped all the people of the Heaven Destroyer. His cold eyes swept over them one by one. When his gaze landed on Lu Ming, there was a burst of bright light in his eyes. Lu Ming, do you think you can hide from me by changing your appearance and aura? Come out and face your death. Yiling Ganlu roared. His killing intent soared to the sky, stirring the sea water constantly. We've been discovered. Lu Ming's face was bitter. Tang Jun, Mo Chang and the others' faces changed drastically. Tang Jun, Mo Chang, don't come out. I'll deal with it alone. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Tang Jun and the others, and then rushed out of the crowd. Chapter 46-44. Lu Ming directly charged out. He was afraid that if he stayed in the crowd, he would implicate Tang Jun and the others. His opponent was an Origin Realm expert. Once he launched an attack, it would be extremely terrifying. Those below Origin Realm would not be able to block it. At that time, not only would he be in danger, but Tang Jun and the others would be in danger as well. He did not want to implicate others. After Lu Ming charged out, he directly charged towards the basin in front of him. Lu Ming, how dare you kill Tianshou? I want you to pay with your life. Yiling Ganlu roared furiously as he charged out. His arm was like a sword as he slashed down. A sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. This was an attack from an Origin Realm expert filled with killing intent. Its power was unimaginable. Lu Ming felt that the space around him had solidified. He could not move his body at all. It was difficult for him to even lift his arm. There was only one outcome for him. He would be killed by this attack. It's over. Lu Ming is finished. At this moment, whether it was the people of Heaven Destroyer or the people of the Heavenly Palace, this was the only thought in their minds. Lu Ming definitely could not block Yiling Ganlu's attack. Only death awaited him. Lu Ming, Tang Jun roared. He wanted to rush over to save him, but it was too late. He clearly could not make it in time. At this moment, Tang Jun's face was deathly pale. If Lu Ming was killed in front of her, how would she explain it to Xian Yanqing? At this moment, Lu Ming's pupils rapidly contracted. He felt great terror. He had a feeling that no matter how profound the forbidden body was or how tenacious its life force was, it would still die under this attack. This attack could annihilate all of his cells. The attack of an Origin Realm expert was just too terrifying. It was not something a divine lord could compare to. Fortunately, Lu Ming was already prepared. He was not scared stiff. As soon as he dashed out, his spiritual sense had already activated within the ancient desolation ring and opened the bronze chest. At this moment, with a thought from Shao Chen, the sovereign personage arm in the great desolate ring silently merged into his right arm without anyone noticing. Even Yiling Ganlu didn't notice it. Boom! After fusing with the human king's arm, Lu Ming's body erupted with an incomparably terrifying aura. This aura directly blew away Yiling Lu's lock, allowing Lu Ming to regain his freedom. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming punched out with all his might. Boom! In the next moment, Lu Ming's fist collided with Yiling Liu's swordlight. A heaven-shaking explosion erupted, and an incomparably terrifying force swept out in all directions. The sea water violently surged, and the ground below constantly exploded. Not good, retreat. In the surroundings, the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace's people's expressions changed drastically. They frantically retreated because they felt that the force sweeping over was too terrifying. Several hundred figures retreated, but a portion of those with weaker cultivations and slower reactions were swept by the force. They vomited large mouthfuls of blood and suffered heavy injuries. And this was the result of them retreating in time. If they had been any closer, they would definitely have died. They would have been torn apart by the terrifying force. So strong. Right now, there was only one thought in Lu Ming's mind. He felt that Yiling Liu's swordlight contained an incomparably terrifying force. Moreover, this force surged towards him in wave after wave, making him feel like he was facing an entire universe. Lu Ming's body shook violently. His body was like a meteor as he smashed down. Boom! Lu Ming landed in the basin and there was a violent tremor. Gravel flew everywhere. With Lu Ming as the center, there were many small cracks on the ground. Lu Ming felt a sweet taste in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, that was all. The majority of the force had been blocked by the Human King's arm. This scene stunned everyone at the scene. Everyone stared at Lu Ming with their mouths agape. It took quite a while for them to react and erupt into an uproar. What? Lu Ming blocked it? He can actually block Lord Empyrean's attack? How is this possible? How is this possible? The Heavenly Palace's people roared in disbelief. The members of the Sky Exterminating Troop were not any better. They were extremely shocked. In particular, Tang Jun, Mo Chang, Feng Yaoli, and the others felt it even more intensely. Tang Jun, Mo Chang, and Rong Gong knew that Lu Ming was very strong. When he erupted with his full strength, he could kill a 9th-layer Divine Lord. Even the twins' powerful joint attack had been broken by Lu Ming. However, the strength that Lu Ming had just displayed had far exceeded their expectations. Being able to kill a 9th-layer Divine Lord and blocking the attack of an Origin Realm expert were two completely different things. Being able to block the attack of an Origin Realm expert and only spit out a mouthful of blood meant that he also possessed the offensive power of an Origin Realm expert. Lu Ming actually possessed the battle prowess of an Origin Realm expert? How was this possible? Lu Ming was only a 5th-layer Divine Lord. It seemed that they had greatly underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming had countless trump cards on him. It was impossible to gauge Lu Ming's strength. Feng Yaoli and the others in his team flushed red. When they had first met Lu Ming, they had looked down on Lu Ming. Now that they thought about it, their faces flushed red. Yiling Lu was also stunned. He had never thought that Lu Ming would be able to block his attack. He found it inconceivable. At the same time, he was extremely shocked. The aura that Lu Ming had given off earlier had made him feel fear. It was like the feeling of a subordinate facing a superior. This kid must have some heaven-defying treasure that can allow a 5th-layer Divine Lord to barely reach the Origin Realm. If such a treasure were to land in my hands, just how much would it increase my battle prowess? Yiling Liu's eyes burned with desire when he thought up to there. He had to kill Lu Ming, whether it was to avenge Yiling Tianshou or for himself. Boom! Yiling Lu took a step forward and a powerful aura surged toward Lu Ming. It was even more powerful and terrifying than before. He hadn't used his full strength earlier. After all, just who would use their full strength to kill a 5th-layer Divine Master if a reciprocity expert tried to do so? Now, Yiling Lu had unleashed his full strength. It's over! Lu Ming's face was bitter. He knew his own strength. Although he had blocked Yiling Liu's attack, the Human King's arm had drained most of his strength. He could only use one more attack with his full strength. However, this attack was completely useless. Yiling Lu hadn't used his full strength earlier. Now that he was using his full strength, even the Human King's arm wouldn't be able to block it. Even if he could block it, He wouldn't have any more trump cards to resist after this attack. As expected, Lu Ming was still far too weak against an Origin Realm expert. Even if he used all his trump cards, it would be useless. Lu Ming felt despair. This was the first time he had truly clashed with an Origin Realm expert. Only after personally fighting did he truly understand the terror of an Origin Realm expert. Their battle prowess far exceeded that of a Divine Lord. Chapter 46-45. Lu Ming still had a trump card, which was the purple copper coffin. However, the purple copper coffin could not be opened at all. If he could open the purple copper coffin, at least a primitive divine spirit of the overgod level would come out and be able to fight against the opponent. However, there was no use for it now. I can only try my best. I won't give up until the last moment. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. However, at this moment, not far from Lu Ming, a huge bug suddenly stood up. This bug was the last one that he had killed before, the mantis-like bug. Previously, this bug had gone through a fierce battle and was heavily injured. After swallowing its opponent's head, it fell to the ground and could not get up. Everyone thought that the insect had died from its injuries. They did not expect it to stand up again. Furthermore, its injuries were completely healed. Moreover, the aura that this bug emitted was much more terrifying than before. It had evolved. Lu Ming's first thought was that this bug had evolved and was even more terrifying than before. Previously, Lu Ming had crashed into the basin and was not far from this bug. At this moment, this bug's two huge eyes were staring at Lu Ming, flashing with blood-red light. That was a blatant murderous intent. What bad luck! Lu Ming wailed in his heart. Yiling Ganlu alone was enough to kill him. He did not expect that another terrifying bug would come. He was simply at his wit's end. However, this bug did not attack immediately. After looking at Lu Ming for a while, it turned its eyes to Yiling Ganlu. After seeing Yiling Ganlu, the bug's eyes were filled with even more intense murderous intent. Being stared at by this bug, Yiling Ganlu's body could not help but stop, showing a hint of vigilance. This was because this bug made him feel a little pressured. The mantis-like bug's eyes moved back and forth between Lu Ming and Yiling Ganlu. Lu Ming's hair stood on end and his muscles tensed up. He was ready to fight or escape at any time. But in the end, good luck fell on Lu Ming's head. The mantis finally locked onto Yiling Ganlu and screeched. Its gigantic body shot forward like a crimson bolt of lightning, breaking through the blood-colored water and heading straight for Yiling Ganlu. Its two front claws were even sharper than divine sabers. "Bastard, you're courting death!" Yiling Ganlu roared. His arm was like a sword, slashing out continuously. He fought against the mantis bug. Both sides were extremely fast. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows. In the end, Yiling Ganlu gained the upper hand and forced the mantis to retreat. However, the mantis bug's entire body was covered with a thick carapace, which was incomparably hard. Several sword lights slashed the mantis bug's carapace, but only left a few marks and did not break it. "Go!" Lu Ming's figure flashed as he quickly retreated. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they didn't leave now, when would they? He could tell that although the mantis insect had killed the other insects and evolved, its battle prowess had only reached reciprocity. It was not Yiling Ganlu's opponent. Once Yiling Ganlu dealt with the mantis bug, he wouldn't be able to leave even if he wanted to. "Lu Ming, you want to leave? Dream on that." Seeing Lu Ming trying to leave, Yiling Ganlu roared. His forehead glowed and a battle sword flew out. "Not good, it's an source-level weapon." Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. Yiling Ganlu reached out and grabbed the source-grade divine weapon in his hand. Boom! With the infusion of origin energy, the source-level weapon awakened and Yiling Ganlu's battle prowess rose to the peak. Bush, bush, bush. In an instant, hundreds of sword lights shot out, breaking through the mantis bug's defense and bombarding its body. Although the thick carapace was extremely hard, it couldn't stop the source-level weapon. It was torn apart and scarlet blood flowed out. The huge body of the mantis bug directly smashed into the basin, and it was smashed in the direction of Lu Ming. Obviously, this was Yiling Ganlu's intention to smash the mantis bug towards Lu Ming. All of this happened too quickly in an instant. Even though Lu Ming started to retreat, he didn't go far. He was still in the basin's domain. Facing the incoming mantis bug, Lu Ming raised his speed to the extreme and used the greater aura art to move to the side. Lu Ming moved tens of thousands of meters away. Then, with a boom, the mantis bug heavily smashed into the ground. The force was several times stronger than when Lu Ming had smashed into the ground. The earth rumbled, and with the mantis bug as the core, the ground kept exploding. Thick cracks spread out. It wasn't over yet. Yiling Ganliu's power erupted. The source-level weapon in his hand turned into a bolt of lightning and flew towards the mantis bug. With a swoosh, the source-level weapon pierced through the mantis bug's head and nailed it to the ground. The sword stabbed into the ground, and a terrifying destructive force erupted, causing the ground to explode even more violently. Rumble! Huge fissures formed, and a dense blood-red mist rushed out from the fissures. This is... Lu Ming's pupils shrank. The basin's underground seemed to be empty. After being bombarded by their powerful attacks one after another, the ground was penetrated. Boom, boom, boom. The ground continued to explode, and the rocks shattered into small pieces and fell down. Dense blood-colored light spread out from below. Lu Ming looked down. As expected, it was empty. The entire bottom of the basin was empty. And at this time, the human king's arm within the chaos ring was shaking even more violently. Could it be that the human king's other body parts are below? Lu Ming's heart shook. That was very likely. Yiling Ganlu frowned. He looked down and made a grabbing motion in the air. The source-level divine weapon returned to his hand. As for the mantis bug, it had already been killed. Its corpse fell down along with the rocks. Kill! Yiling Ganlu snorted coldly. He held the combat sword in his hand and slashed toward Lu Ming. The terrifying sword light caused Lu Ming's heart to turn cold. Lu Ming didn't hesitate. He directly charged down, using the scattered rocks to block Yiling Ganliu's sword light. Yiling Ganliu's sword light slashed at the scattered rocks. Those rocks exploded, but the sword light didn't stop. It rapidly approached Lu Ming, as if it had locked onto Lu Ming. Lu Ming was unable to dodge. Block! Seeing that he couldn't dodge, Lu Ming could only block. He poured all his remaining energy into the human king's arm, stimulating its power, and punched out. Boom! The two clashed a second time. Lu Ming vomited a large mouthful of blood, and his body fell down like a bolt of lightning. Fortunately, when Yiling Ganliu's sword light reached Lu Ming, it was blocked by many rocks, and a portion of its power was offset. Otherwise, Lu Ming might not have been able to block it. Chapter 46-46. Yiling Ganliu's attack had been unleashed with his soul-grade divine weapon. It was much stronger than when he had used his arm to attack Lu Ming. Even with his human king's arm, Lu Ming still wouldn't be able to block it. But thanks to the obstruction of the many rocks, Lu Ming was able to block it. However, his injuries were even more serious than before. Lu Ming's figure rapidly descended. Right now, he could only hope that there would be a turn for the better. Let's see how many of my moves you can block. Yiling Ganlu snorted coldly. He also rushed down and chased after Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had descended several thousand miles. Suddenly, Lu Ming's pupils shrank. He saw that there was a blood coffin down below. The blood coffin seemed to be made of a special kind of rock. It was completely blood-red. But now, cracks had appeared on the blood coffin, covering the entire blood coffin. A powerful energy was coming out of the blood coffin. The human king's arm in Lu Ming's right arm began to heat up. It was constantly twitching, as if it wanted to break free from Lu Ming's arm and fly out. It's here. The other parts of the human king's body are in this blood coffin. But how do I get them? Do I have to open this blood coffin? Lu Ming's mind raced. But he didn't have much energy left. He probably couldn't open it even if he wanted to. Something seemed to want to charge out of the blood coffin. It constantly attacked the blood coffin, causing more and more cracks to appear. At this time, Yiling Ganlu also approached. His gaze involuntarily turned to the blood coffin. However, he only glanced at it once before looking back at Lu Ming. His killing intent was dense. Although he was very curious about the blood coffin, he had decided to first kill Lu Ming and then carefully observe it. A person like Lu Ming had profound karmic luck. He wasn't easy to deal with. As long as he wasn't killed, there was a chance something would happen. Just like before, he had only delayed for a moment and a powerful insect had suddenly appeared, allowing Lu Ming to survive. He didn't intend to give Lu Ming any chance. Not good, I have to go all out. Lu Ming was also very decisive. He knew that he couldn't escape when facing Yiling Ganlu. Only by going all out could he have a chance. This blood coffin looked very strange and might be dangerous. But danger also meant a chance. Lu Ming planned to open this blood coffin. Lu Ming, you're courting death. Yiling Ganlu also saw through Lu Ming's thoughts. He roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his sword. The terrifying sword gleam slashed toward Lu Ming at lightning speed. Lu Ming's entire body was locked in by a powerful force. His body stiffened in the air and he could not move at all. Lu Ming's mouth was bitter. He had tried his best, but it still didn't work. At this moment, he no longer had the strength to activate the human king's arm. He couldn't block the other party's attack by himself. He was unwilling to die here. If he was killed, all the treasures on him would fall into Yiling Ganliu's hands, which would strengthen the heavenly human tribe. Also, Chiu would fall into the other party's hands. However, he had no other choice. But there was always a way out. At this moment, the human king's arm on Lu Ming's arm vibrated even more violently. It seemed to resonate with the thing in the blood coffin, causing the power of the blood coffin to be even more terrifying. Crack, bang. The number of cracks on the blood coffin increased rapidly. Some places even exploded continuously, creating holes in the coffin. Waves of incomparably powerful energy rushed out from the blood coffin, rushing in all directions. Strong, too strong. The power rushing out of the blood coffin was simply shocking. Lu Ming felt that it was even stronger than the sword light that Yiling Ganlu had slashed at him. However, the human king's arm on his right arm automatically emitted a wave of energy that spread from his right arm to his whole body. When the energy rushed out of the blood coffin rushed to Lu Ming, it was like a breeze, causing no harm to Lu Ming. It swept past Lu Ming's body and collided with Yiling Ganliu's sword light. The two kinds of energy collided. In the end, Yiling Ganliu's sword light shook violently and collapsed, disappearing into nothingness. The terrifying energy continued to sweep toward Yiling Ganlu. Damn it! Yiling Ganlu roared. He was extremely unwilling. He had been decisive enough to directly attack Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming first, but there was still an unforeseen event. The power in the blood coffin was so terrifying that it directly shattered his sword. Even he feared this kind of power and wanted to avoid it. However, Lu Ming was completely fine, which made him furious. He was extremely unwilling. He quickly retreated, but the energy continued to rush toward him. He slashed out a few times, but he was unable to stop it. Damn it, Lu Ming, just you wait. Yiling Ganlu roared unwillingly, then rushed up. He rushed out of the basin before the energy from the blood coffin could reach him. Rumble. The energy from the blood coffin continued to rush in all directions, causing the earth to shake violently. There was also energy that rushed out of the basin, breaking through the clouds and spreading in all directions. What is that? So terrifying. Even Yiling Ganlu escaped just now. Retreat, let's retreat. Even reciprocity experts can't stop them. Let's retreat. Many people roared and frantically retreated. Lu Ming, Mo Chang and the others had ugly expressions. The others shook their heads and sighed. They had all thought that Lu Ming was already dead. If Yiling Ganlu had chased after him, Lu Ming might have already been killed by him. Even if he hadn't been killed by Yiling Ganlu, the energy rushing out of the basin was so terrifying that even Yiling Ganlu wanted him to flee. However, there was no sign of Lu Ming. Lu Ming's fate was obvious. No, Lu Ming's karmic luck is too great. He definitely won't die so easily. I've seen him face many desperate situations and survive. This time is the same. Let's retreat. Tang Jun's gaze was resolute. She was very familiar with Lu Ming. She had found that Lu Ming had her father's special characteristics. His karmic luck was powerful, and he could always come back from desperate situations. In the past, he had also faced countless situations and survived in the end. This time, she also believed that Lu Ming wouldn't die. Tang Jun and the others also quickly retreated into the distance. Down in the basin, Lu Ming stood near the blood coffin, carefully observing it. More and more cracks appeared on the blood coffin, and more energy rushed out. It was becoming more and more terrifying. If it weren't for the human king's energy protecting him, Lu Ming was certain that he would have already been destroyed. Not a single cell would have been left. Is there really another part of the human king's body inside? Whispered Lu Ming, his gaze burning. Crack, crack. The blood coffin constantly cracked, and the blood-colored stones constantly exploded. A moment later, with a bang, the blood coffin completely exploded. Chapter 46-47. When the blood coffin completely exploded, an even more terrifying energy swept out. This energy swept out in all directions, causing the entire bottom of the immortal burial blood sea to tremble violently. The seawater tumbled, stirring up thousands of waves. The terrifying energy made the people of the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer retreat again and again. Even Yiling Ganlu retreated quickly, not daring to stay too close. However, this energy still did not affect Lu Ming. Lu Ming stared at the place where the blood coffin exploded with hope in his eyes, hoping that there were other parts of the human monarch's body inside. However, he was disappointed. There were no other parts of the human monarch's body in the blood coffin, only a ball of light. This ball of light was only the size of a fist at first, but in the next moment, it suddenly expanded rapidly. From the size of a fist, it quickly became the size of a basketball, and then the size of a water tank. It kept getting bigger and bigger. Lu Ming noticed that this ball of light was strangely long. It was made up of 8 halos. These 8 halos were at different angles. The 8 halos were separated by the same distance every 2 angles, dividing the entire void into 8. In the middle of the 8 halos, there seemed to be a world that was protected by the 8 halos. Therefore, from afar, the 8 halos looked like a ball of light. The speed at which the halos were growing continued and soon approached Lu Ming. It was as if a world was rapidly colliding with each other and expanding, causing a force to squeeze outwards. Lu Ming was squeezed outwards by this force and kept retreating. Fortunately, although this force was strong, it was only squeezed outwards at a certain speed and did not erupt all at once. The destructive power was not particularly fierce, and Lu Ming could still withstand it. Oh no, there seems to be a world in these 8 halos. This world is breaking free and is rapidly growing and returning to its original state. I have to leave quickly. If the expanding force of this world squeezes me onto the continent of the 1,000-year battlefield, I'm afraid I'll be squeezed to death. Thinking of this, Lu Ming no longer hesitated. He soared into the sky and rushed out of the basin. After Lu Ming rushed out of the basin, he looked around and did not see anyone else. Yi Ling, Gan Lu, and the others seemed to have retreated far away. With a thought, Lu Ming went to the other side of the basin. Rumble! In the next moment, the ground shook violently, and cracks appeared in the basin. The cracks quickly became bigger and longer, extending into the distance. It's still colliding rapidly. This world should have been sealed in a blood coffin by someone previously and was compressed to an extremely small size. Right now, it's about to return to its original state. But this is the center of the 1,000-year battlefield. If it were to expand like this, wouldn't it be tearing apart the entire continent of the 1,000-year battlefield? Lu Ming was a little shocked. Boom, boom. The ground rumbled and rocks exploded. Lu Ming saw that the basin had been completely torn apart. 2 huge cracks spread out from the basin. The edge of a huge halo emerged from the bottom of the basin. The entire bottom of the immortal burial blood sea was shaking violently, and the water was rolling. Not only that, the entire 1,000 Autumn battlefield began to tremble. At this moment, everyone in the 1,000 Autumn battlefield revealed looks of astonishment. They did not know what was going on. The ring of light expanded extremely quickly. The further it went, the faster it grew. The larger it grew, the faster it grew. In just a few breaths' time, several halos had already appeared. The ground was completely torn apart, separating into two sides. A continent had been torn apart from the middle, and with that as the center, the cracks were getting bigger and bigger. Let's go! Lu Ming flew rapidly into the distance. After flying for a while, Lu Ming stopped and found that the halo was still expanding rapidly. At this moment, the halo was at least 100,000 miles in diameter, but it showed no signs of stopping. The speed of expansion was even faster than before. What is that? It seems to have emerged from the basin. It's going to tear the Thousand Autumn battlefield apart. It's approaching us. Let's go. At the bottom of the Immortal Burial Blood Sea, the people of the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer were watching from afar. At this moment, they did not dare to stay and continued to retreat. Yilingan Lu was unwilling to give up. He stared in the direction of the halo, but did not see Lu Ming's figure. What is this? Yilingan Lu's eyes shone like stars. They seemed to be able to see through the halo and see what was inside. However, at this moment, the center of the halo was pitch black, like a black hole. Even with his eyesight at the origin realm, he could not see through it completely. He could only vaguely see that there was a world inside. A world is actually sealed in the continent of the Thousand Autumn battlefield. The Thousand Autumn battlefield was an important place in the last epic. This continent is definitely extraordinary. Yilingan Lu's thoughts spun rapidly. Then, greed appeared on his face. He did not retreat like the others. He wanted to explore it. It would be best if he could enter the halo and enter the world inside. Very soon, the halo approached Yilingan Lu. Yilingan Lu directly charged towards the halo. He used his source-level weapon to open a path and fused with it. He wanted to enter the world inside the halo. However, the moment he came in contact with the halo, a tremendous power surged towards him. Yilingan Lu could not help but be blown away. He only managed to stop after flying for several 100,000 miles. His face was pale and he almost coughed up blood. What a powerful power! This seal is too powerful. It's not something I can break. Yilingan Lu thought with a gloomy face. Rumble! The halo expanded faster and faster. The entire Immortal Burial Blood Sea was completely torn apart. The huge halo was already half the size of the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Moreover, it was still expanding rapidly. At this moment, the entire continent was shaking violently. Countless insects were roaring madly. The experts of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace were all alarmed, whether it was the experts stationed in the fortresses or those who had entered the core of the battlefield. As long as they were on the main continent, they were all alarmed. What's going on? Why is the continent shaking so violently? It's like it's about to collapse. Are there peerless experts fighting? What kind of expert is so powerful? To be able to cause such a commotion, this is not the primitive universe. This is the 1,000-year battlefield. Many people roared. The Thousand Autumn battlefield was an important place left behind from the last epic. It was filled with endless killing intent and killing intent. Countless experts had died here. It was not that easy to destroy. Even if experts of the origin realm were to fight here, the damage caused would be limited. Who could cause such a tremor? That direction seems to be the direction of the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Did something happen there? Let's go check it out. The experts of the Heavenly Palace and the Heaven Destroyer rushed towards the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Chapter 46-48. When the experts from both sides arrived, they could no longer see the Immortal Burial Blood Sea. Instead, they could only see a huge ball of light emerging from the center of the continent. With this ball of light as the center, a huge crack appeared on the main continent of the 1,000-year battlefield. Moreover, the crack was still rapidly expanding. The ball of light was still rapidly expanding. What is that? Many people were dumbfounded, including the reciprocity experts. It's the Celestial Exalt. It's Senior Starfire Origin Exalt. The people of the Heavenly Palace and Heaven Destroyer discovered the reciprocity experts of the two forces and flew towards them. There were several reciprocity experts on Heaven Destroyer's side as well. Tang Xiao, Starfire Origin Exalt, Lu Min Origin Exalt, and so on. Sister, what's going on here? Tang Xiao hurriedly asked when he saw Tang Jun. We don't know the specifics either. It's like this. Tang Jun immediately explained everything they knew in detail. Lu Ming, Tang Zhao's expression changed, becoming worried. I don't know if this has anything to do with Lu Ming, but I believe he'll be fine. That guy's luck is great. He won't die so easily, Tang Jun said with a resolute gaze. Lu Ming might have already entered the halo. I'll go take a look, Tang Xiao said. He rushed toward the ring of light, but like Yiling Ganlu, he was sent flying away. He had suffered some minor injuries. On the other side, the experts of the Heavenly Palace also knew what was going on. They also wanted to charge in, but they were blown away in the end. Lu Ming was still flying away near the halo. This halo is getting bigger and bigger. It's going to split the entire continent open. I can't stay here for long. I better leave quickly. Lu Ming erupted with his full speed and flew into the distance, pulling away from the halo. At the same time, Lu Ming used the great imitation technique to change his appearance and presence. At the same time, he used the great concealment technique to hide himself in a huge rock. He controlled the rock to fly into the distance. He was mainly afraid that Yiling Ganlu would find him. In reality, Yiling Ganlu was indeed looking for Lu Ming everywhere. He flew around the halo. As long as he found Lu Ming, he would kill Lu Ming. Oh no, that celestial exalt has always wanted to kill Lu Ming. He was the one who chased Lu Ming before. When Yiling Ganlu, Tang Jun and Tang Xiao, Tang Zhao's group. So it's him. I'll go kill him. Tang Zhao's voice was cold. His body was like a flash of lightning, and his sword was aimed at Yiling Ganlu. Yiling Ganlu was shocked. He took out his source-grade divine weapon to block the attack. Tang Zhao's Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao, Tang Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao, Tang Xiao, Tang Zhao's Tang. His arm that was holding the sword was trembling non-stop. Dozens of small sword wounds had appeared on his body, and blood was flowing non-stop. It was clear that Yiling Ganliu's strength was inferior to Tang Zhao's. He'd been injured in one blow. Kill! Tang Xiao roared. He wanted to kill Yiling Ganlu. Yiling Ganlu was terrified. He turned around and ran toward the Heavenly Palace. He called for help as he ran. Tang Xiao, I'm your opponent. I'll take you on. Several Origin Realm experts from the Heavenly Palace shouted and rushed toward Tang Xiao. You want to bully me with numbers? Exalt Starfire and Exalt Lumin also shouted and rushed toward the Heavenly Palace. Boom, boom, boom. Afterwards, the reciprocity experts clashed a few times, erupting with earth-shaking booms. As a result, Yiling Ganlu was also saved. He successfully broke free, mixing with the Heavenly Palace's experts. The Origin Realm experts of both sides exchanged a few more blows. They both retreated and stopped fighting. Now was not the time for a duel. Neither side was confident. Their attention was on the halo. With their Origin Realm eyesight, they could vaguely see that there seemed to be a continent in the middle of the halo. They were very curious about what was on the continent. However, Lu Ming, who was in the distance, heard the rumbles that erupted from the few moves of the Origin Realm experts. It's so intense. It's a battle between Origin Realm experts. It looks like the experts from other places have been drawn over. The Heaven Destroyer's Origin Realm must have arrived as well. Let's go. Lu Ming continued to use the great concealment technique. He hid in a rock and flew in the direction of the explosion. After a while, Lu Ming saw Tang Xiao, Tang Jun and the others. Lu Ming directly dispelled the great concealment technique and the great imitation technique. He flew toward Tang Xiao and the others. It's Lu Ming. It really is him. He really is fine. Mo Chang, Rong Gong, and the others immediately discovered Lu Ming. They were all overjoyed. Tang Zhao's face also showed a rare trace of joy. Lu Ming, I knew it. You're lucky. Nothing will happen to you. Tang Jun smiled. I was lucky. Lu Ming smiled and arrived beside Tang Xiao and the others. He finally relaxed and could recover in peace. In the distance, Yiling Ganlu and the others also saw Lu Ming. Damned little bastard, Yiling Ganlu roared inside. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lu Ming. However, he knew he could not kill Lu Ming with Tang Xiao and the others by his side. He could only endure. Rumble. The continent continued to shake. It was constantly being torn apart by the expanding halo. Heaven Destroyer and the people of the Heavenly Palace constantly retreated. As time passed, more and more people arrived. In the end, even the experts from both sides who were stationed at the stronghold came. The main reason was that the shaking was just too great. This process lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Yes, for 3 days and 3 nights, the halo was constantly expanding. In the end, the entire continent was forcefully torn apart, splitting into 2 halves. The Millennium Battlefield, which had never changed since time immemorial, underwent a tremendous change. And in the middle of the 2 main continents, the incomparably huge halo was suspended in the void. From afar, one could see 8 halos revolving in different angles. It was extremely dazzling. In the middle of the 8 halos was pitch black, like a black hole. With Lu Ming's eyesight, he could not see through it at all. In reality, at this point, even Origin Realm experts could not see through it. However, they could be sure that there was a continent in the pitch-black darkness. The 8 halos seemed to be some kind of formation or some kind of sealing power that sealed the continent in the middle. At this moment, the expansion of the halo finally stopped. The arm of the human king is shaking so violently. The other parts of the body are in this halo, but how can I get them? Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Previously, he had already put the arm of the human king into the bronze box in the ancient desolation ring. At this moment, the reaction of the arm was unprecedentedly strong. The bronze box directly told him that the other parts of the body were in the halo. Chapter 46-49. Lu Ming felt a headache coming on. With so many experts present, how was he supposed to obtain it? Most importantly, he couldn't enter the world within the halo. A light flashed through Lu Ming's eyes. The reason he couldn't enter before was because the halos were violently colliding with each other, creating a powerful shockwave that prevented him from entering. Now that the halos had stopped expanding, could he enter? Lu Ming wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Many people from both the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace had similar thoughts. "I'll try," Exalt Starfire said as he flew toward the halo. On the other side, the Heavenly Palace had also sent an Origin Realm expert to fly toward the halo from another direction. Senior Starfire Origin Venerable quickly approached the ring and cautiously entered it. At the beginning, there was nothing abnormal, nor was there any power attacking Exalt Starfire. "We can enter." The eyes of many people on the Heaven Destroyer's side lit up. Exalt Starfire continued to probe. He flew deeper, wanting to enter the continent at the center of the halo. But in the next moment, Exalt Starfire seemed to encounter something terrifying. He rapidly retreated until he was near Lu Ming and the others. His face was pale and filled with fear. "Starfire, what did you discover?" "No, why has your origin root weakened?" Tang Xiao asked with a drastically changed expression. "You discovered it." Exalt Starfire bitterly smiled. "Those 8 halos aren't ordinary halos. They're a powerful formation that has a sealing effect. At the same time, they can strip away the origin root of those who enter." The faces of Tang Xiao, the Origin Realm experts, and many divine lords all became very ugly. The origin root was the foundation of Origin Realm experts. It was the source of Origin Realm expert strength. Yet, those halos could strip away the origin root of Origin Realm experts. That was terrifying. Those halos seemed to be able to strip away the origin root of Origin Realm experts to strengthen themselves. Fortunately, I retreated quickly. Otherwise, my origin root would have been crippled. Even so, I've suffered great losses this time. I won't be able to recover to my previous level without 10 stellar years. Exalt Starfire bitterly smiled. At the same time, the same thing happened on the Heavenly Palace's side. The Origin Realm expert from the Heavenly Palace also retreated in fear. A portion of his origin root had also been absorbed by the halo. As a result, the Heavenly Palace and Heaven Destroyer no longer dared to take action. They only surrounded the halo to observe. They didn't send any Divine Master Realm experts to probe either. Even Origin Realm cultivators would be in danger. Although Divine Masters did not have origin roots and would not have their origin roots taken away, who knew if there would be other dangers? Therefore, both sides chose to pass the news back to their respective factions. The people of the Heavenly Palace sent the news back to the headquarters of the 4 Heavenly Palaces. The Heaven Exterminating Troop also sent the news back to the Heaven Exterminating Troop's camp. After that, the 2 groups of people surrounded the halos and waited quietly. Within the great desolate ring, the human king's arm continued to tremble. Lu Ming didn't act rashly. With so many eyes watching, it was clearly unrealistic for him to act alone. Moreover, he didn't know what dangers lay within the halo. Even Origin Realm experts were in danger. If he entered rashly, there probably wouldn't be anything left of him. It was better to wait and see. In a secret room in the Heavenly Palace of Crepe Myrtle, there were 2 stone platforms in the room. A bronze chest was placed on each platform. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely be shocked. These 2 bronze chests were basically the same as the one he had obtained. At this moment, the 2 bronze chests suddenly began to tremble. They shone with resplendent light. 2 white-haired celestial race elders stood to one side of the room. They had been cultivating with their eyes closed the entire time. Now, they suddenly opened their eyes in shock. What's going on? Why is there something wrong with the human king's body? This has never happened before. Open it and take a look. The 2 celestial race elders stood up and opened the 2 bronze chests. Inside the 2 bronze chests, there was a stone arm and a leg. One was the left arm, and the other was the left leg. These were actually 2 parts of the human king's body. They were the left arm and left leg of the human king's body. At this moment, the human king's left arm and leg trembled constantly. They seemed to be pointing in a certain direction. Chess, what's going on? Why is there something wrong with the human king's body? One of the celestial race elders asked the 2 bronze chests. That's because the other parts of the human king's body have appeared. A sentence appeared on one of the chests. The other parts of the human king's body have appeared? That's not right. Other parts have appeared before. The human king's body didn't have something like this. One of the elders said, "It's different this time. This time, it's very likely that the human king's torso has appeared. That's why the left arm and leg of the human king's body are acting so strangely." A sentence appeared on the second chest. Afterwards, another sentence appeared on the first chest. Only when the human king's 4 limbs and head have appeared together and resonated with each other will the human king's torso appear on its own. What? The 2 elders of the celestial race were shocked. This meant that the human king's 4 limbs and head had appeared. However, the Heavenly Palace had only obtained the left arm and leg. As for the other 3 items, who took them? The first person they thought of was the Heaven Destroyer. In the primitive universe, other than the Heaven Destroyer, which other faction could compete with the Heavenly Palace? We have to report this matter to the Heavenly Master immediately. One of the elders said, "All right, you stay here and watch. I'll report it immediately." After the other elder finished speaking, he walked out. Not long after, the elder met the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master and reported the matter truthfully. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master was middle-aged. His face was angular, and his eyebrows were like swords. He just sat there quietly, but an aura that could suppress the world spread out. It made people unable to stand steadily in front of him. This was the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master, the true overlord of the primitive universe. In the entire primitive universe, only the other 3 Heavenly Palace Masters could be on equal footing with him. "I know. You can leave now." The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master's expression was calm, so he waved his hand and dismissed the elder. This day has finally arrived. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master whispered. Then, he took out the dreamy heavenly jade and sent out 3 messages. These 3 messages were sent to the dreamy Heavenly Palace Master, the Hongmeng Heavenly Palace Master, and the Shunji Heavenly Palace Master. The Great Ancestor should come out of seclusion. I wonder if the Great Ancestor succeeded? After sending out the message, the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master muttered to himself. Then he got up, took a step, and disappeared without a trace. The dreamy Heavenly Palace, the dreamy Celestial Mountain. This was the most important forbidden area of the dreamy Heavenly Palace. It was surrounded by layers of arrays, and there were many powerhouses of the heavenly palace guarding it. Usually, other than the dreamy heavenly palace master and a few top celestial masters, no one else could enter. On this day, the 4 heavenly masters came together. Chapter 4650. The 4 heavenly masters entered the illusory celestial mountain and waited at the entrance of a cave. The 4 heavenly masters stood in a row and looked in the direction of the cave with respectful expressions. If other people in the universe saw this, they would be shocked. Who were they? They were the masters of the 4 heavenly palace, the true masters of the Eldritch universe. They were invincible figures and the true overlords of the universe. The 4 of them were waiting for someone with respectful expressions. No one would believe them even if they told others. At this moment, the stone door of the cave opened and a young man from the heavenly human tribe walked out. The young man looked very young, only in his 20s. His cultivation was not particularly high, only at the divine master realm. However, when the 4 heavenly masters saw the young man, their faces were filled with respect. They bowed and said, "Greetings, ancestor. 100,000 years ago, before I went into seclusion, I said that I would be awakened when there was something wrong with the human king's body. Now that you have awakened me, is there something wrong with the human king's body?" The young man said indifferently. Even in front of the 4 heavenly masters, he still looked high and mighty, as if he was a senior looking down on a junior. The 4 heavenly masters did not show any anger or displeasure. It was as if all of this was natural. "Ancestor, there is something wrong with the human king's left arm and left leg. They are shaking nonstop and pointing in a direction." The bronze box said that the human king's body has appeared. Only when the 4 limbs and head of the human king's body appear will the human king's body appear. The crepe myrtle heavenly palace master replied respectfully. They knew very well the origin of this young man in front of them. This young man was an ancestor of the heavenly human tribe. He was the first ancestor in the history of the heavenly human tribe to control the perfect power of the heavens. He was known as the strongest person in the history of the heavenly human tribe. In the history of the heavenly human tribe, there were a total of 3 peerless geniuses who could control the perfect power of the heavens. The one in front of them was the first one. This person was already very, very old, and his cultivation had reached an unimaginable level. However, later on, the old ancestor's cultivation reached a bottleneck and was restricted by this universe. Therefore, he used a heaven-defying method to allow himself to be reincarnated. However, reincarnation was too heaven-defying after all. If one was not careful, they would completely perish in the cycle of reincarnation. Although the heavenly human patriarch had succeeded, he had also left behind a huge hidden danger. That was why he had chosen to go into seclusion 100,000 years ago to repair the hidden danger. Before Shaochen entered closed-door cultivation, he had said that if there were no abnormalities with the sovereign personage's physical body, there was no need to wake him up. Oh, the 4 limbs and the head of the human king's body have appeared. It seems that the so-called Heaven Destroyer has gained quite a lot. That's good too. This time, I'll move around a bit and take the opportunity to completely control the human king's body. The patriarch of the heavenly human tribe said, "Ancestor, have the hidden dangers left behind by your reincarnation been completely healed?" Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said, "Just a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. It won't hinder my performance." The old man from the heavenly human tribe chuckled. He grabbed at the air with his palm, and 4 different types of heavenly force gushed out. They danced in his palm without any hindrance. It was as if the 4 types of heavenly force had merged into one. The 4 lords of the heavenly palace revealed looks of envy and reverence. The perfect heavenly force was a power that they could only dream of. The 4 lords of the heavenly palace had only mastered 3 types of heavenly force. This required talent. It could not be forced. Bring me to the human king's left arm and left leg. Also, do you know where the human king's torso has appeared? The heavenly human patriarch asked. Not long ago, I received news that there was a shocking change in the Thousand Autumn battlefield. A sealed continent has appeared from the Thousand Autumn battlefield. According to the direction that the human king's left arm and left leg are pointing to, it should be in the Thousand Autumn battlefield. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord replied. The Thousand Autumn Battlefield? Very good. Also, call me by my name, ye Immortal. The heavenly human patriarch stepped out, and his indifferent voice rang out. Ye Immortal, one of the 4 lords of the Heavenly Palace, arrived at the secret chamber in the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace. He saw the human king's left arm and left leg. The human king's physical body cannot be activated unless one is a peerless prodigy who has mastered top-notch power. My current cultivation base is only at the 6th tier of the Divine Master Realm. I can only activate one left leg or one left arm. As for the other leg, I'll need another peerless prodigy to activate it. Have any outstanding prodigies been born in our tribe over the years? The heavenly human patriarch, ye Immortal, asked. Yes. Our tribe has produced a peerless prodigy. His name is Yi Qiuxian. Like the old, immortal young master, he has mastered the perfect heavenly force. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord replied respectfully. What? Hearing this, Ye Immortal's eyes shone brightly. Perfect heavenly force. I didn't expect another person with perfect heavenly force to appear in this generation. Good, very good. Bring me to him, Ye Immortal said. With a wave of his hand, he put away the 2 bronze boxes. Immortal young master, Yi Qiuxian is at the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace. I'll bring you to him, the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord said. The few of you, go back and make your own arrangements. Gather experts and prepare to head to the 1,000-year battlefield. Remember, the human king's physical body is the most important. You can ignore everything else. Gather as many experts as you can to head to the 1,000-year battlefield. Do you understand? Ye Immortal instructed. Yes. The other 3 heavenly masters received their orders and quickly left. Meanwhile, the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord passed down the order to gather experts. He then brought Ye Immortal to look for Yi Qiuxian. Ever since the battle at the Grand Supreme Immortal City, Yi Qiuxian had displayed his stunning talent and his status had risen. He had undoubtedly become the #1 prodigy among the younger generation of the Heavenly Palace. In the history of the Heavenly Human Tribe, there had only been 3 people who had mastered the perfect heavenly force. Yi Qiuxian had naturally received the full support of the Heavenly Palace. He could get whatever resources he wanted. With the accumulation of vast amounts of resources and Yi Qiuxian's heaven-defying talent, his rate of improvement was astonishing. Currently, his cultivation had already reached the 6th level of the Divine Master Realm. This speed was even faster than Lu Ming's. This was, of course. Lu Ming's resources were all obtained by himself. On the other hand, Yi Qiuxian's resources were countless in the Heavenly Palace. In addition, his talent was simply too stunning. He had also condensed an origin source seed. With the accumulation of resources, his cultivation would continue to improve. Yi Qiuxian greets the Heavenly Master. Seeing the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord descend, Yi Qiuxian bowed respectfully. Although his talent was rare in the Heavenly Human Tribe, he had not reached the greater mastery level. Seeing the Heavenly Palace Lord, he did not dare to slight him. Very good, very good. Your cultivation has already reached the 6th level of the Divine Master Realm. It won't be long before you break through to the 7th level of the Divine Master Realm. Breaking through to the Origin Realm is just around the corner. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Lord nodded. He was very satisfied with Yi Qiuxian. He then introduced, Yi Qiuxian, this is young Master Immortal. Quickly, pay your respects. Chapter 4651. Yi Qiuxian furrowed his brows slightly and glanced at Yi Immortal. He was also a member of the younger generation of the Heavenly Human Tribe, yet he was asked to greet Yi Immortal? Who among the younger generation of the Heavenly Human Tribe was worthy of his greeting? However, for the sake of the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master, Yi Qiuxian casually cupped his fists and said, Greetings, Brother Immortal. Yi Qiuxian's attitude made the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master's expression change abruptly. He scolded, Qiuxian, how dare you? What kind of attitude is this? Hurry up and apologize to young Master Immortal. Yi Qiuxian was also a little stunned. What was going on with the Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master? Ever since the battle at the Taishang Immortal City where Yi Qiuxian had displayed unparalleled talent, the upper echelons of the Heavenly Palace, including the Heavenly Masters, had been very courteous to him. They had never scolded him like this before. Today they were scolding him because of another young man? Could it be that the other party was more important than him? Moreover, the master of the Heavenly Palace Master was bowing and scraping in front of Yi Immortal. This was simply unbelievable. Who is this Yi Qiuxian? Yi Qiuxian, let me tell you. From now on, you will follow young Master Immortal obediently and listen to his orders. If he is willing to guide you, it will be your lifetime's worth of good fortune. The Crepe Myrtle Heavenly Palace Master continued. This time, Yi Qiuxian was completely enraged. It was one thing for him to lower his attitude towards Yi Immortal, but he was actually going to follow Yi Immortal and listen to his orders. How was this possible? Who was he? He was one of the only 3 peerless sky prides in the history of the heavenly human tribe who had mastered the perfect heavenly power. Once he reached a major city, he would be invincible in the universe. At that time, even the heavenly masters would have to bow down to him. But now, he was actually going to listen to the orders of another young man. His pride and self-esteem would definitely not allow this. Heavenly Master, if you want me to listen to his orders, let's see if he has the qualifications. Yi Qiuxian said coldly. In his eyes, among the younger generation of the universe, only Lu Ming, who had a taboo body, could stand on equal footing with him. He didn't think much of the other so-called elites, including this Yi Immortal. If not for the fact that Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle was very respectful to the Yi Immortal and that Yi Qiuxian couldn't see through him, he would have already suppressed the Yi Immortal. Yi Qiuxian, how dare you? Heavenly Lord Ziwei shouted as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Yi Qiuxian actually dared to question whether the Yi Immortal had the right to do so. With his understanding of the Yi Immortal, he was truly afraid that the other party would directly cripple Yi Qiuxian. The Yi Immortal raised his hand and interrupted Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle. He even smiled as if he was not angry at all. Looks like you're not convinced by me? Yi Immortal smiled at Yi Qiuxian. In this world, strength speaks louder than words. Yi Qiuxian Dao. Although he couldn't figure out the identity of the Yi Immortal for Heavenly Lord Ziwei to be so respectful, he was very confident in his own strength. In the primitive universe, he feared no one other than Lu Ming in a battle of the same level. Moreover, he was now a 6th-level divine master. Even if he met Lu Ming again, he was confident that he could easily suppress him. Yes, you're right. In this world, strength speaks louder than words. Come on, let me see how strong you are. Yi Immortal said. You want to fight with me? Yi Qiuxian Dao. That's right. You and I are both 6th-level divine masters. It's a good opportunity for us to learn from each other. How about this? If you can withstand 3 of my moves and not be defeated, you don't have to follow me in the future. Yi Immortal said. He knew very well that all exceptional elites had their own pride. He wanted to crush Yi Qiuxian's pride. Yi Qiuxian was so angry that he almost laughed. He was laughing from extreme anger. There was actually someone in this universe who said that he could defeat him in 3 moves. Wasn't this laughable? In the battle of Taishang Immortal City, Lu Ming had only defeated him by a narrow margin. Where did Yi Immortal get the confidence to defeat him in 3 moves at the same level? This was completely impossible. Yi Qiuxian didn't believe it at all. Alright. I'd like to see how you can defeat me in 3 moves. Yi Qiuxian laughed loudly as a powerful aura emanated from his body. 4 types of ultimate power of heaven spread out and revolved around his body, transforming into 4 different colored battle swords. Not bad, it's indeed the perfect power of heaven. However, how much power can you unleash? Yi Immortal smiled and nodded. He suddenly took a step forward and charged towards Yi Qiuxian like a bolt of lightning. At the same time, he pointed his finger out like a sword. Suddenly, more than a dozen sword shadows appeared in the void. These sword shadows kept changing their positions, making it hard for anyone to grasp them. Yi Qiuxian shouted as the perfect power of heaven erupted. The 4 battle swords revolved rapidly and slashed out dozens of sword shadows towards Yi Immortal. However, Yi Immortal's sword shadows were extremely nimble. They were like small snakes that kept slithering around. Finally, the dozens of sword shadows merged into one and stabbed towards Yi Qiuxian. This seemingly ordinary sword strike caused Yi Qiuxian's expression to change drastically. The dozens of sword shadows that he had slashed out instantly disappeared without a trace. Bam! Yi Immortal's sword light pierced the perfect power of heaven surrounding Yi Qiuxian, causing the perfect power of heaven to vibrate violently. A hole was pierced through the perfect power of heaven and the sword chi continued to rush towards Yi Qiuxian. Not good. Yi Qiuxian was shocked. He unleashed all his strength and the 4 battle swords formed by the perfect power of heaven turned into a sword array. They revolved rapidly and only then did they manage to block Yi Immortal's sword light. However, Yi Qiuxian also retreated 1,000 meters away. Although the perfect power of heaven is powerful, you're still far from perfect. There are flaws everywhere and you can't even withstand a single blow. Yi Immortal said calmly. Impossible. The perfect power of heaven has no flaws. Everything that happened just now was a coincidence. It must be a coincidence. Yi Qiuxian roared. His eyes were red as he suffered a huge blow. He was actually forced to retreat by Yi Immortal with a single move. Yi Immortal's attack just now didn't have much strength. However, it made Yi Qiuxian feel extremely uncomfortable. It was as if his weakness had been hit and he couldn't use his strength. However, how could the perfect power of heaven have any weaknesses? He believed that it was just a coincidence. Bam! Yi Qiuxian stepped into the air. This time, he took the initiative to attack. The 4 battle swords formed a sword array and the sword chi rushed towards the clouds. He used all his strength in this move and charged towards Yi Qiuxian. The boundless sword chi almost drowned Yi Immortal. However, Yi Immortal was still very calm. He stood there with a smile on his face. When the sword chi was about to reach him, Yi Immortal grabbed the air with his palm. 4 types of perfect power of heaven appeared and formed a battle sword. Seeing Yi Immortal's power, Yi Qiuxian's eyes widened rapidly. He was in disbelief. Swoosh! Yi Immortal made his move. He slashed out with his sword and it was extremely stunning. The moment he slashed out, Yi Immortal changed his position at least a few thousand times and collided with Yi Qiuxian's sword array thousands of times. Chapter 46-52. In the blink of an eye, the attacks from both sides collided thousands of times. Then, Yi Qiuxian's sword array exploded with a loud bang. His figure was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away as he stood in the void in a daze. There was a 1-foot-long sword wound on his chest. Blood flowed out continuously. This sword wound was naturally slashed out by Yi Wuxia. Defeated. Yi Qiuxian was defeated in just 2 moves. Perfect power of the heavens. You actually know how to use perfect power of the heavens. How is that possible? Yi Qiuxian muttered to himself as he looked at Yi Immortal in a daze. His eyes were filled with disbelief. There was actually someone among the younger generation of the heavenly human tribe who could control perfect power of the heavens? This was perfect power of the heavens. In the long history of the heavenly human tribe, only 3 people had been born with perfect power of the heavens. This was not something that could be easily controlled. How many unparalleled and peerless geniuses had been born in the history of the heavenly human tribe? There were too many to count. The proportion of people who could control perfect power of the heavens was too small. It was already a miracle that he was the only one in this era. But now, there was another one? Moreover, although they had only exchanged 2 moves, Yi Qiuxian realized that Yi Immortal's control of perfect power of the heavens was much stronger than his. Just as Yi Immortal had said, his perfect power of the heavens really did have a flaw that was easily seen through by Yi Immortal. This was a huge blow to Yi Qiuxian. His eyes suddenly became a little lifeless. This blow was more than 10 times greater than being defeated by Lu Ming. Because he had been defeated in just 2 moves. He did not even last 3 moves. The crepe myrtle heavenly palace master sighed in his heart. With his experience, he naturally knew what was going on. Competing with Yi Immortal in terms of perfect power of the heavens was like showing off in front of an expert. Yi Immortal's control of perfect power of the heavens was already flawless. On the other hand, Yi Qiuxian was just a newbie who had only recently mastered it. The flaws and weaknesses of perfect power of the heavens could not be hidden from Yi Immortal's eyes. That was why Yi Qiuxian was defeated by Yi Immortal in 2 moves. That was because Yi Qiuxian was perfectly countered by Yi Immortal. Actually, there wasn't that much of a difference between the two of them. Yi Immortal would not have been able to win so easily if it had been another prodigy with similar battle prowess as Yi Qiuxian. However, the most important thing right now was to restore Yi Qiuxian's confidence. Yi Qiuxian must not be unable to recover from this setback. Qiu Xian, now you know what it means by there's always someone better than you. Heavenly Lord Ziwei said. Yi Qiuxian nodded woodenly, still unable to regain his senses. Actually, you don't have to be too shocked. If you knew the true identity of Immortal Prince, you would know that it was normal for you to be defeated. Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said. True identity? Yi Qiuxian was stunned. He also wanted to know the true identity of the Yi Immortal. Just the fact that he had mastered the perfect power of the heavens was not enough for Heaven Lord Crepe Myrtle to be so respectful. Young Master Immortal is our patriarch. He is the first patriarch in history to control the perfect power of the heavens. Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said, his eyes filled with fanatical worship. What? Yi Qiuxian's heart skipped a beat. His eyes widened as he looked at Yi Immortal in disbelief. How could the first patriarch in the history of the heavenly human tribe to control the power of the heavens be so young? Based on the aura of his life origin, he could clearly sense that Yi Immortal was only a few 100,000 years old. He could not be more than 1,000,000 years old. He was definitely part of the younger generation. The patriarch used the reincarnation technique and obtained a new life. Heavenly Lord Crepe Myrtle said. There was no need to hide the identity of the Yi Immortal. After all, the Yi Immortal would soon lead the heavenly palace. Patriarch, so it's the patriarch. No wonder he could control the perfect power of the heavens. No wonder he could defeat me in 2 moves. Yi Qiuxian's eyes shone brightly again. The patriarch of the heavenly human tribe was a legendary figure. He was known as the strongest in the history of the heavenly human tribe. His control of the perfect power of the heavens was truly perfect. Wasn't it normal to defeat him in 2 moves? Would the others be able to withstand 2 moves? At this moment, Yi Qiuxian regained his confidence. Junior Yi Qiuxian pays his respects to the patriarch. Yi Qiuxian immediately knelt down and bowed respectfully. Very good. Get up. Your control of the perfect power of the heavens is already very good. In the future, when you reach greater mastery, you won't be any weaker than Zhangquang Yechu. Yi Immortal said with a smile. Yi Qiuxian's heart thumped faster. Zhangquang Yechu was the second person in the history of the heavenly human tribe to control the perfect power of the heavens. He was born more than 60 stellar years ago. He was a great enemy of the taboo sword ancestor, Tang Feng. The 2 of them had been fighting since they were young. His current combat strength had reached an unfathomable level. He was also a legendary figure in the heavenly human tribe. Could his future combat strength really be comparable to such a legendary figure? You will follow me from now on. If you have any questions, you can ask me at any time. Yi Immortal said. Yes, Patriarch. Yi Qiuxian said respectfully. You can call me Young Master Immortal from now on. Yi Immortal said. With a wave of his hand, a bronze box containing the left arm of the human king passed to Yi Qiuxian. Inside is the left arm of the human king. Familiarize yourself with it. Now that the body of the human king has appeared, you will set off with me to the Thousand Autumns battlefield soon. Yi Qiuxian instructed. At the same time, the same thing happened in the base of the Heaven Destroyer. Fei Huang, the 3rd demonic sword, the 2nd divine sword, and the other origin realm experts gathered together. In front of them was a bronze chest. Within the bronze box was a right leg made of stone. This was the right leg of the human king's body. At this moment, the right leg of the human king was constantly vibrating and glowing. Similar words appeared on the bronze chest, informing him that the torso of the sovereign personage's body had appeared. The body of the human king is no small matter. Once gathered, it has the power to overturn the universe. The heavenly human tribe will definitely mobilize all their forces to fight for it. We can't let them succeed. We must obtain the body of the human king. Fei Huang said. Not long ago, we received news that the Thousand Autumns battlefield has changed. A vast continent has appeared. It should be where the body of the human king is located. The second divine sword said. Gather the experts immediately and head to the Thousand Autumns battlefield. Fei Huang said. Soon after, a large number of experts from the two sides of the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace headed to the Thousand Autumns battlefield and gathered around the huge halo. Senior Fei Huang. Seeing Fei Huang, Lu Ming was overjoyed and went to greet her. Lu Ming, you're actually here as well. Why aren't you in the Heavenly Star region? Fei Huang was surprised to see Lu Ming. There's nothing left for me to explore in the Heavenly Star region. That's why I came here. Lu Ming chuckled and changed the topic. Senior Fei Huang, how are Xiao Qing and the others? They're still cultivating. Not bad. Your cultivation has actually reached the 5th layer of the Divine Master Realm. Your rate of improvement has exceeded my expectations. Fei Huang studied Lu Ming and nodded in satisfaction. Chapter 46-53. Following that, Tang Xiao and the others also came to greet Fei Huang. Fei Huang had a very high status in the Heaven Destroyer. Her battle strength was also at the peak of the Heaven Destroyer. The Tebu body was not just for show. What appeared in front of everyone now was only Fei Huang's soul incarnation. Her true body was still in the depths of the universe ruins. Tang Xiao, what's the situation now? Fei Huang asked. Tang Xiao went on to explain the situation in detail. It can actually take away one's origin root. This is not easy to deal with. Fei Huang frowned and then looked for other experts in the Heaven Destroyer to discuss. For example, the space-time spirit rats who were skilled in the way of space-time, the world turtle who was skilled in rune formations, and the master refiner. They wanted to see if they could find a way to pass through the 8 halos and enter the continent in the center. A large number of experts had gathered in the Heavenly Palace and were also discussing. Not long after, the Heavenly Palace sent a few experts who were proficient in rune formations to study and see if they could break the 8 halos. Unfortunately, after more than 10 days of study, they still had no clue. The Heaven Destroyer also sent experts to study, but they also had no clue. The 8 halos were very brilliant. It was a method from the last era. The strength of the person who set up the formation was also unimaginably high. They could not break it at all. In the end, both sides sent Origin Realm experts to test it out, but they all retreated in horror. Those who went to test it out had their origin roots taken away. The impact was not small. If they stayed in it for a long time, their origin roots would be completely taken away and they would fall to Origin Realm and become Divine Masters. Obviously, Origin Realm experts could not enter. If they wanted to enter, they had to be prepared to have their origin roots taken away. The gains were not worth the losses. After that, both sides sent out Divine Masters to test the waters. To their surprise, the Divine Masters were not affected at all. The 8 halos did not have any abnormalities. In the end, the few people who tested it out completely disappeared in the center of the halos. They seemed to have entered. Everyone waited quietly. Not long after, those people came out with shocking news. There was really a continent inside. It was very ancient and full of vitality. It was completely different from the continent fragments in the universe ruins. Over there wasn't the slightest bit of killing intent or baleful aura. The energy was abundant and ancient trees towered into the sky. It was as if the legendary Great Desolate Continent had appeared once again. Both the Heaven Destroyer and the Heavenly Palace were alarmed. Needless to say, the body of the human king must be on that continent. Both sides immediately began to mobilize Divine Master existences, intending to have them enter the continent to fight for the human king's body. Both sides were constantly transferring Divine Lords from other places. They had even abandoned many important places to guard. More and more Divine Lord experts were gathering in this area. That is, the quasi-immortal race. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. In the distance, dozens of exhibition carriages came crushing through the void. Many figures stood on the carriages. These figures looked almost the same as humans. The only difference was that they all had a red mark between their eyebrows. Every one of them was wearing snow-white robes made of ice, giving them a sage-like appearance. Not only the people of the Heaven Destroyer, but even the heavenly human race and other races in the universe were very surprised. The quasi-immortal race was an extremely special race. They seemed to be detached from the world and generally ignored the disputes in the primitive universe. No matter what war it was, they didn't participate and rarely showed up. Even the heavenly human race couldn't command the quasi-immortal race. This time, so many people were dispatched at once. Could it be that the quasi-immortal race, who had always been detached from the world, was also interested in the body of the human king? Is this the quasi-immortal race? Strange, their aura is similar to the human race, but there is a difference. Lu Ming sized up the quasi-immortal race curiously. It was his first time seeing people from the quasi-immortal race. After the quasi-immortal race arrived, they stood silently in the void and didn't talk to anyone. Humph, a mere top 10 race is so arrogant. They didn't even come to greet our heavenly human race. After the traitors are eliminated, the quasi-immortal race can't be left alive. Some young people of the heavenly human race said unhappily. Of course, those old heavenly human race didn't say much. It seems that the competition this time will be very fierce. This trip is full of danger. After you enter, you must be careful. Also, you must join forces and fight the enemy together. Fei Huang said seriously to the high-level Heaven Destroyer Divine Masters. All the Divine Masters nodded. They knew what to do even without Fei Huang's reminder. There were obviously more Divine Masters in the Heavenly Palace than them, so they felt a huge pressure. Also, you must bring the other parts of the Human King's body with you. This way, you will be able to find the Human King's body more easily. At the critical moment, you can also borrow the power of the Human King's body to fight the enemy. However, ordinary people can't activate and borrow the power of the Human King's body. Only those who control extremely strong power can activate it. Lu Ming. At this time, Fei Huang looked at Lu Ming. The others also looked at Lu Ming. Obviously, Lu Ming was the most suitable one. The forbidden power was definitely enough to activate the Human King's body. However, Lu Ming shook his head and refused. He already had a Human King's body, but it could only last for a breath's time. If he took another one, he wouldn't be able to use it at all. Although he wanted it, he was afraid that he would ruin the Heaven Destroyer's plan. If he couldn't use it at the critical moment, the Heaven Destroyer would be in trouble. That would be a great sin. Not only would he not be able to get the Human King's body in the end, but the Heavenly Palace would also benefit. This wasn't something Lu Ming wanted to see. Seeing Lu Ming shake his head, Fei Huang frowned. Although she didn't know why Lu Ming refused, she knew there must be a reason. This kid wouldn't refuse under normal circumstances. He's bold and fearless. Could it be that he already has? Thinking of this, Fei Huang's heart skipped a beat. She looked at Lu Ming thoughtfully. Then I'll leave it to she. Your primordial divine power has mutated and become even more advanced. You should be able to activate the Human King's body. Then, Fei Huang turned her gaze to a robust man in his 30s. This man was a primordial divine spirit. He was an 8th-level divine lord and was extremely powerful. His primordial divine power had mutated and was stronger than other primordial divine spirits. The primordial divine power of primordial divine spirits was already extremely powerful. When other races cultivated divine power and continuously awakened their primordial divine power, they would eventually reach the level of primordial divine power. She's primordial divine power had mutated and was naturally extremely powerful. It was one of the top powers in the primitive universe. After she finished speaking, Fei Huang passed a bronze chest to Shi.